Yeah, I've always thought about like the idea of how much pop culture influences everything, including like the establishment orientation of society now. And with you, it's like I've been seeing your videos on my feed for years, it feels like at this point. But with you, it's like I could get a video about like the latest Alex Cooper, Earle drama that I'd somehow watch for 3 minutes and say, I can't believe I'm invested in this. Don't know why. And then I'll get a video about like literally the bullets were not even on the ground yet from the Secret Service the other night. And you were like, all right, here's everything that happened with Donald Trump being shot at. I was like, what the fuck?
So Saturday night, I was watching UFC card, and then my friend was watching, there was NBA playoffs on, NHL playoffs, and he was like, a friend that typically isn't on the top of the ball. He's like, did Trump just get shot at? I was like, what are you talking about? Then I went to Twitter, and obviously I saw it, and it was evacuated. Then we saw, it's like, oh, was it possibly the plates falling? There was a lot of, and then we heard, I think Caitlin Collins was the first one to say, no, there was a shooter in the Secret Service. At first, we felt like he was dead, but he was not. He's obviously alive now. He's in prison. Right. And then I was like, oh, this is big. And then I let a little bit more stuff come out because it was definitely we had to monitor the situation, as they say. But to go back to your point initially, yeah, I think so. Barstool Sports was founded on the idea of we're going to cover everything that you talk about on a bar stool.
Yeah.
At a bar.
Yep.
So even though, and it's an interesting point where it's, oh, what does a 29-year-old guy care about Alex Cooper, Alex Earle? But here's the thing. In my group chats, people are talking about it. At work, people are talking about it. They may not admit to it, and they'll maybe like, that's kind of silly, that's stupid. But people watch. And then also, you always want to, just from a marketing point of view, having more women on like that buy into your stuff and follow you is huge because they make all of the our buying decisions across. Like that's just
oh, I never thought of it that way. That's
well, yeah.
We gotta get in on that.
If you want to have a true impact in terms of like influencer, I mean, all the deals go to women because women buy things. Dudes, you probably are wearing the same pair of shorts that you had from 2011.
That's correct. You're 1,000% correct.
But women buy things every single day. And it's not just makeup, it's everything. So if you can somehow get both, if you can get men and women, you're really in a great spot. So that's what I'm always trying to get both. Because if you can get women, you can get deals.
100%.
And women get most of the deals because they make people can complain about it, but that's what they do. That's why Alex Earle is worth tens of millions of dollars at this point.
Yeah, I was unfamiliar with her game and everything going on there. Wow. Obviously, I know Alex Cooper well from the industry. Yeah. I mean, I don't know her personally, but
I know what you're saying.
You know, what
huge
was
podcast.
Yeah, friend of the show, as Tim Dillon would say.
Well, but she is. I mean, you guys are in the same charts.
Hey guys, 3 quick things. Number 1, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's a huge, huge help. Number 2, if you'd like to join my Patreon for early uncensored releases of the full episodes, you can join via the link in my description or in the pinned comment below. And number 3, if you'd like to join my clipping community for a chance to make content from the show and make money, you can join via the Discord link in my description below.
But she's been in I said it in a video. I was like, oh, she is, if you do a podcasting Hall of Fame, she's in it. And people got mad at me. She's been a top 10 podcaster since 2018.
Yeah. And
you know how insane that is. That's up there with Part of My Take and everything. Now, Part of My Take's been longer, maybe a little bit higher, but she's interviewed presidential candidates. She's interviewed reality stars. She's interviewed the biggest celebrities. So she is top of the top. She's in that podcasting Hall of Fame.
She's controversial just because of like what the topic was and what she was coming up as, and she leaned into that 100%. And I would agree, regardless of like whether you would ever enjoy that kind of content. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who listen to this show, like even on the comedy end, like it's more dudes in that case. That's not really the cup of tea listening to Alex Cooper talk about
I've never listened to a full Call Daddy episode.
But there's no doubt, like I remember when that was started, when it was the two of them, when it was her and Sophia. And it was real, like it hit a niche that people didn't even realize was there in early mid 2018 by that point. And you were just like, whoa.
And it's huge it was unbelievably big for Barstool.
Yeah.
Before, people just thought of Barstool, specifically women, thought of it as a Instagram page.
Yeah.
And she and Sophia, they just took the ball and they ran with it. Truly. They were saying things that were kind of crazy, but I mean, it's kind of like it was locker room talk for women. And they were probably like, that's exactly what it sounds like in their rooms. Yes. Now, I didn't listen. I saw clips and all that. I was an intern at the time. So
oh, you were there already?
I was there when it was popping off. And I mean, it was cool because when I started as an intern, they weren't there yet. And then you were an intern. So I started 2017 when I was still in college. And then 2018, I was still in college too, and I was an intern. But they popped off. And then, oh, girls actually cared that you worked at Barstool. Before, it was just only dudes. Yep. But Call Her Daddy was like, oh, you know Alex Cooper, you know Sophia?
The fact that I think Dave, if I remember correctly, found them like the second upload they did. And they were uploading in like 32 kilobits per second, the kbps, I never remember what that stands for, in audio, which is like extremely low. For people listening, we uploaded 192 on Spotify and 320 on fucking YouTube, and that's been since day one. Yeah. Like she was literally editing it at her kitchen table, and that wasn't her skill, but it was so... It caught people so much that it didn't matter. Like that people just, especially like so many Gen Z millennial women were just so fucking into it. It was insane.
A big moment for her, I think that really helped, was before that, she was at a Rangers game with Noah Syndergaard, the old Mets pitcher. Yep. And I think they were like making out at the game. So when somebody presented that to Dave, he was like, oh, I know her. And they took the chance. I mean, they didn't think... I mean, they definitely took the chance knowing, oh, it could work out. But I don't think in their wildest dreams they would think it would be what it became. And it helped tremendously to Barstool.
Yeah, I mean, what do you pay at the beginning? I think their salary was like $75K a piece or something like
Probably
that. I mean, for him, it's like, all right, let's make this bet.
And we'll see that. Yeah. And what's funny is that it wasn't actually the first female podcast at Barstool. The first female podcast was Chicks in the Office.
I remember that.
And they are still killing it. They're one of the bigger success stories in our company's history too. So those two.
That's Fran and Rhea?
Yeah, were huge to get Barstool more in the women category.
Well, I remember their big thing to me was that was probably like the last time I ever really looked at Facebook, like in any way. It was like probably 2015, early 2016. And they mastered the like, maybe it was 2 to 3 minute video on Facebook space, and you would see them everywhere. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. And Barstool's doing like the podcast thing.
And then, Facebook. It's so crazy that Facebook is still kind of the most visited social media platform ever. Are you guys big on Facebook or no?
I shit you not.
I'm like, you guys.
3 weeks ago. We got on. Like, we've always had a page that I don't even know how to log into. We have never put content on there. 3 weeks ago, we got on. I think we have like 25,000 followers already or something. That's crazy.
No, it's massive. And it's specifically massive with older people. And then just, I think the Hispanic community, it's still massive. And international too. Facebook is still the number one platform.
Yeah. It's like the most, that's what people were telling me. And for the longest time, for me, it's like, I mean, you see, this is a very upstart kind of organization, if you call it. So it's always been like, I want to do 20 things and I have to pick 1 or 2 at a time. So it was always like, all right, yeah, we'll get to that. And then I hit up my boy Aiden, who knows like a good bit about Facebook. And he's like, bro, come on. It's 2026. You got to
get on it.
And I'm like, you're right. Let's go ahead.
And I also think it would be big because you have so many like different spectrums of guests that sometimes like you'll have people that are on there will know them, and there's a lot of people that probably already watch your podcast religiously that if you somehow polled them, I would assume 15 to 20% of them, their number one app used is Facebook.
Number one, you think it's that much
for social media? Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I guess that may be a bit high of a guess because you have a huge amount of people on YouTube. So maybe YouTube's their number one, but it's a
separate box though.
Yeah.
YouTube, like I look at YouTube separate, like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, that's one box. And then YouTube's like, that's TV.
I think that's just so, like you were saying, you're an upstart kind of, you do whatever you do. But if you had like a true company come in and assess, I think they would say, no, dude, Facebook is where a lot of your fans already are. And you would get more because if there's 20% of your fans or 10% of your fans are on Facebook, that means the people that are on Facebook may be like them and then they could become new fans.
Yeah.
Now those are those big agencies that probably aren't worth it for you. But the nice thing is if you connect it and you post on Facebook or on your Instagram and you connect it, it can upload to that too, and it will get pushed into the algorithm there already. It's just a cross posting because and Instagram, and this is something Instagram wants you to post on Facebook.
They do,
and they want you to post on Threads too.
Oh, they really want Threads now, too.
And it will only help your page.
Who the fuck is on Threads?
There's people on there. I'm dead serious, man.
I know Deef's on there.
No, but people are on there.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little bit different. It does give kind of like a blue sky effect, but but Substack. Oh, Substack's like, yeah. Do you write it all or no?
I am a writer by trade initially.
So I mean, Substack could even be something that would be fun for
Jack,
you.
there is so much going on in my brain.
You have too much.
That I'm like, I gotta, I always joke. It's like, you see what Stephen Bartlett's pulled off with Diary of a CEO is amazing. He's built it for many, many years. He built companies before that too. I didn't build shit before I did this. He's got like 50 people. Yeah. I got 3 guys and Christian the Venezuelan. You know what I mean?
The cool thing is though, and something that I remind myself a lot too, this is such a long game.
It is.
I would assume, I want to do what I do forever. I mean, maybe at some point I stop, but I meant more so, think about it. You could be doing this for 20, 30, 40 years.
That's what I plan to.
And so it's such a long game. Like, you could get to those mediums at some point. The rush is, I think some people in the content game, they try to do too much, and then it's just and sometimes it gets out of control. It's even happened to me, and then you've got to focus on what you do best. If you don't get to Facebook, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, bro. It's almost like I'm always stepping out as best I can and like looking at the big picture and looking at it to where we've gotten, like step by step. And it's I think of this like proverbial scene in movies where, there's one I'm thinking of right now. I can't think of the movie, but the captain is like going through this fucking crazy storm in the middle of the ocean, and everyone's going like, hit it now. He's like, not yet, not. And they're like, we're all gonna die. And he's like, not till I say. And then eventually, like, they get to the last moment, it's like, no! And hit, like, that's kind of how I look at this. And I'm like, we're not now yet. You know what I mean? I'm still saying, shut the fuck up. We're going to get there. You'll
get there.
And then I'll know that, I hope I'll know that moment where it's like, fuck it. Just I throw every dollar I have at this, but like throw every resource I have, get in debt up to my eyeballs for like a month and like just go. Yeah.
Now, the nice thing is, I know what you're saying. The nice thing is, I feel like that'll be there, but you could drive yourself crazy trying to find when the right moment is.
That's right.
And I will say, one thing that you kind of look back on, if you do the work, I feel like it kind of just works out.
That's right, man. That's why that's the thing. I get as present as I can, and I've gotten way better at it at like today. Right? So we have upped the volume in what we do so much. We're putting out 3 episodes a week, 2 3-hour episodes,
which is insane.
It's nuts.
And you are doing things that are, for me, not to take anything away from myself, but this one's probably a little bit easier than a guy that's coming in. Like, I was watching the guy that, I forget his name. He was talking about homeschooling, and it was
Spencer Taylor.
And you probably have to really make sure you don't sound like an idiot when he comes in there. So you have to make sure that you're on top of it, reading stuff. I know he has that documentary that he put out. I still have to watch it, but you're already you're already all in. Anybody would say that knows me. You're already all in. But obviously, but there's always people that are going to be like, oh, we could take it to this level, that level. Maybe you could just do it yourself. Who cares?
What I mean is, I've been all in since day one. All my money goes back into this. I've been doing it 7 days a week since March 13, 2020. But when I'm talking about that moment, it's like where you hit it and suddenly those fucking 15 phone calls you got to make to set up 15 things instead of 1 or 2. Like I said, just do it, and you don't think about like how much debt you're going to go into for that minute doing it.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying.
That's all it is. But for me, the only thing money is when I get it at the end of the month is it's just firewood.
Yeah, you just put it back in.
Yeah, I take it, I go, oh, cool, right back in.
Yeah, you pay rent, you pay for all the studio stuff and everything, and then you go back in. But that's how why you've gone from where you were on April 14th, 2022 to where you are in 2026. But it's the present thing is probably the thing that if I could have one skill, it's that.
Yep.
And I try to be better at that. I'm a guy who, it doesn't happen a lot, but I catastrophize a lot. Like
Catastrophize?
or I said that wrong.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
But I spiral.
Ah.
And I think, and you think, oh, this isn't going to work. That's not going to work. And it's not a negative thing. It's just something that I've found out about myself throughout the years that I'm just like, yeah, I spiral too much.
What happens? What gets you to that?
I'm not sure why. I try to get that. What gets me there is, let's say you try something, you do something new, it doesn't work out. You're like, all of this is going to end. There's like a fear that I have that tomorrow, this was all a facade.
100%.
You know, and I guess you could call that, what's the term? Imposter syndrome. But I have to remind myself, no. And also you have to remind yourself, I was talking to you about my buddy who's a cop. He told me years ago, he's like, Navy SEALs have this rule where it's just worry about the next meal until the next meal. So, all right, I'm going to eat at 6 p.m. Now, it's now until 6 p.m.
That's
Obviously, you have to think about the future, but truly, outside of a few kind of moments here and there, it's really the present's only that 100%. Matters. So that's the thing that I probably work on the most, to try to be more present than thinking too far down the line. And there's always new social media. We were just talking about Facebook, Substack. There's always new platforms. There's always new ideas. But you just want to make sure that you're on top of everything and you don't lose momentum. That's 100%. A fear.
Yes. It's like when you start to ruminate on things that haven't happened and are out of your control, in addition to that driving you, I like that, catastrophize. I'm going to use that. It's better than spiraling. Like it creates these catastrophes, so to speak, that haven't happened in your head. And while you're doing that, you're not doing something.
Yeah.
You know?
And when you're doing that and you're spiraling, you get into this zone of, you're almost ruminating on a 0.001% probability. And there's proof in the work, but my fear and what I spiral on is like the algorithm's going to change and just boot me out.
Yeah.
But what's the value in that when you're trying to make the next thing that works?
Right.
Not very high.
But it also, you know what it does? It keeps you humble too, which is great. Like that, I love that. It's like the double entendre of this job. You're tortured by the fact that you're like, holy shit, what if I wake up tomorrow and no one wants to listen to this
one gives
anymore,
a fuck.
Right? But then the other idea is like, bitch, that's how replaceable you are.
Yeah.
So you better go be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, and I'm definitely concerned about AI in its own way.
How so? For you?
I remember last year, I was at a Meta conference. A Meta, like their... when the CEO goes up, like Steve Jobs used to do it.
Yes.
And I was there and they invited me. It was great. But I was talking with this guy who's big in AI. And he's like, he was like, for the next 2 years, your goal should be to get this flyover effect where you are almost seeked out. Because in 2 years, he feels the AI will be able, that people will create creators. They will take what you do and they'll be able to do it, and they'll be able to make 75 versions of you, find one that works, and then that person just does it, and it's not a person, it's AI. Now, this is a guy that's big in AI and maybe a bit too confident. So I thought of that, but the flyover effect thing was, he was saying, people are going to start to not understand what's real and what's not.
That's right.
But if they know you're real, they'll seek you out.
Do you have trouble sleeping? Do you wish you could fall asleep faster, sleep deeper, and wake up without grogginess? I certainly am always trying to improve my sleep. You've heard me talk with many different people in here about what an important part of our lives and health sleep is. And getting good sleep can literally be life-changing. It can increase motivation, productivity, and overall well-being. But here's the thing. As you know, most sleep solutions have terrible side effects. Melatonin gummies are way overdosed in most cases and don't work fast enough. Over-the-counter meds almost always create next-day brain fog. And prescription meds can make you feel more dependent on drugs just to sleep. That's why I recently started using Ultra's new sleep pouches, and they've been a complete game changer. The idea behind this is genius. Everyone always uses pouches for increased focus and energy. You always hear about this one whenever we're talking about any kind of pouches. But Ultra took that idea and flipped it. These Ultra sleep pouches help you wind down, fall asleep, and stay asleep. And the best part is they use just 6 clean, research-backed ingredients. 1 milligram of melatonin, which is a way more optimal range and not overdosed like many many other melatonin products, L-theanine, which reduces anxious thoughts, magnesium to relax your muscles, and then chamomile, passion flower, and lemon balm extracts, which are going to support sleep maintenance and reduce nighttime awakenings. Ultra Sleep pouches deliver better, deeper sleep, properly dosed, and natural ingredients. All you new customers out there can use code JULIAN to get 15% off your order at takeultra.com. That link is in my description below. That's takeultra.com, link in my description below, for 15% off your whole order when you use code JULIAN. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them I sent you.
So the flyovers that you kind of reach an exit velocity where you're above all of the AI. And I think there's people that's the goal.
Yeah, it's escape velocity. I love that term.
So you almost get above, but the thing is, I mean, I think of people that it's funny. We were just talking about all those, it's going to go wrong, it's going to go bad. I think of myself as people will ask, how did you do it? And I'm just like, I'm still doing it. I don't really even know. And then also it's like, I just kind of got lucky. I have confidence in myself.
For sure.
But I started making videos when TikTok was like very popular.
Yeah.
And I started making blog, and I had the backdrop of and the kind of the blueprint of making or writing blogs. And so I knew, I know what people like on the internet. I'll just do this in video form. And then I just kind of got in the algorithm. I don't know and what if I was 5 years older? I mean, it's very hard to grow now. I just got in at the right time.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Like I'm sure you can relate to this. There's so many messages now that I see maybe 1 or 2% of them. But when I see one, and especially if I see one and a message says like, hey, I'm thinking about starting something or doing something, I'd love to pick your brain. I always try to take that call. Sometimes I drop the ball on it, but I've been on a lot of calls with people because I never want to be the guy that was like, someone looked up to and then acted like they didn't believe in them or something. I have a real phobia about that. So I talk with people and I ask them like, what are you trying to do? Oh, I'm trying to do a podcast. Oh, I'm trying to create this kind of content. Oh, I'm trying to do that. And I try to be real with them too. Like, hey, first of all, if that's your dream, go get it.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone tell you not to. Secondly, have you thought about this or have you thought about that? And just like how you're going to get started doing that, because it was already, when I moved to this in early 2020, extremely saturated.
Yes.
Especially in 2022, 2023, the saturation went like that.
I think
in everything with content. It is nuts, man.
And that's what I think they're saying too. That AI point is it's already saturated with real people.
Yeah.
And it's going to become saturated with fake people too. There's already fake, it's obvious to our eye where I think there was a guy that said that he was running a fake MAGA girl, Instagram, and she was it's very easy. I mean, if you want to make some money, just be a fake MAGA girl, and then just take Jack Posobiec's talking points and tweets and make them your own, and just say, hey, ChatGPT, redo this point, and then make a video of it. And AI generated MAGA girl to grift super dumb men, and you put yourself in a farm or some shit, and then people believe it. And then, I mean, if you're okay morally with it, taking those people's money, then that's I'm not here to tell you can't, but it's a great thing that you can do in this. And there was another one I saw. It wasn't politics related. There's just this chick who's like, she's a fake farmer, but there's videos of her. She does look real. I know it's not because of little AI, but I'm sure if I showed my father, he would think it's real.
Do you see how? So there's two examples coming to my head right now. There was a speech that Varys gave to Tyrion in like the first or second season of Game of Thrones, where he's talking about the three different types of people and who has the power, and he's like sitting there like sagely saying it. There are all kinds of videos that have reinvented him saying something new,
exactly,
and they look. Like I have to go like this, like, well, I know that's not real, but could I tell if that's not real if I hadn't seen the show?
But here's the thing, that's the stuff that they're putting out there.
That's just what exactly.
And now that goes back to like what's the AI that the military has, that the government has, that people have that are really, now I was just talking about the morality of scamming people in middle America that are 65 years old that think they're talking to a hot MAGA chick. Mm-hmm. But we know that these people in high places, what are they doing? That is, and I mean, I was even thinking of, I was in the car on yesterday, and I was thinking about how there was a guy, he was the Uber driver, and next to it, he had one of those classic like bank robber, kind of, but it's more a winter hat, but you only see the eyes and the face.
Ski mask,
Yeah, but I was thinking to myself, there's probably ways now to wear skin tight.
Yes.
That is not even, so you can go and rob a bank or do something or try an assassin, and that's not actually the person.
I think about this often.
And it's probably elite. Like, we see these makeup artists and stuff, but there's probably stuff out there that is, and now I'm not saying I know it, I'm just guessing.
No, but you're right. There's two thoughts here. First of all, I always say this one. Annie Jacobson wrote about this 5-6 years ago when she was writing about DARPA, whenever that was, if people remember what year that book came out. You know, that there was data that DARPA was telepathically talking to dolphins in like 1992. Well, like, what the fuck else do you think they have?
There's some of these things that they come out that they were like, we were doing this in 1965.
That's right.
So what are they doing right fucking now, dude?
Yeah, they're running this.
No, that's why I'm like, I can't, like, I do care, and I understand there's real life decisions that have to be made by politicians that affect people's day-to-day lives. But and we're just learning about what the ruling class was doing 20 years ago, 30 years ago. What are they doing now? Now, I'm not saying there's, like, I hope, I don't know. And they could be doing things that are just insane that go beyond I mean, even Trump talked about, I think he called it the discombobulator, the machine that they used in Venezuela, where it's like they went down and like these people, like they pressed the button and these people just got violently ill. And he called it the discombobulator. He loves the discombobulator.
Did he describe what that looked like? I can't remember.
No, but if you remember, the New York Post came out with an article about it, talking how there was, or maybe there was somebody that worked for the New York Post that said the military used a new machine that completely ruined. Yeah.
Yeah, scroll over on that. That's all from the ground, from what they used. That's not public.
You see, like these, yeah. But like that's like they have access to the things, and I mean, I think Trump does say more than the typical president has, but there's probably things that are being used that we're not even.
What's going on with that ballroom, bro?
Well, the ballroom. So
is it the ballroom or is it the ballroom?
So there's always been something underneath the White House, right?
Yeah,
and there's always been like the bunker of sorts. Mm-hmm. Now, are they building something else underneath there? I'm not sure.
Now, it's privately funded.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this goes to what's underneath there. I mean, I think it's more. It could be a bunker, or it could be a place where it's like you could put. It's a modern day bunker, quote unquote, that you could put the president or whoever needs to be down there, and they can just control everything. No one can get down there. It's almost impossible. I don't know.
It's very, because like Trump is. You wonder how calculated he is while trying to appear uncalculated sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the ultimate question about
That's
him.
the double entendre. But this has literally been like the weird reflexive talking point that he's gone to since Charlie Kirk died. Whenever he's talking about something, could be Charlie Kirk dying, could be the Iran war, could be attacking Venezuela, could be what the Fed did yesterday. Somehow in the conversation he goes, but do you see the ballroom? We're working on that. Obviously, it's a very important thing. Like, what is this about?
So is that just his ego where he wants to have a final thing? Like he wants to build another monument. That's essentially the Trump monument in DC. And is this just his ego talking, or is he this brilliant? And that goes back to kind of this time traveling. There's that theory of that book that came out like in 1904, that Bear. It's like the times of Bear and Trump. Have you seen this?
No.
Wait, okay. Look up like the theory behind Bear and Trump and time traveling, and there's this book from like 1904 before Trump. I think Nikola Tesla's involved in some way.
Oh, well, Tesla, his apartment, when it was raided after his death, it was Donald Trump's uncle.
Yeah, so it was all, yeah.
All right. Well, this is real. You're not making this up. The theory that Barron Trump is a time traveler stems from uncanny similarities between Donald Trump's youngest son and the protagonist of 19th century novels by Ingersoll Lockwood. The theory suggests that Barron Trump, a character who travels throughout time, guided by a mentor named Don, predicts modern political events.
Yes!
With some speculating the Trump family possesses time travel technology. The Lockwood novels written in 1890s, Barron Trump's marvelous underground journey and the travels and adventures of little Barron.
Those are the things that I'm like, dude.
Wait. Feature a young rich boy named Barron who lives in Castle Trump. You can't make this shit up.
I'm like, and then you think about Barron, and you think of all the theories with Barron.
Yeah, he's seeing the fractals, bro.
And then is Barron the next one up per se? And then also you think about his other sons that have kind of been forgotten, Don Jr. and Eric Trump, and I mean think about Tiffany Trump. She's the most forgotten one.
Yeah, poor kid.
Yeah, but she it may be better that way because Don Jr. can't walk around New York City.
No. Nope.
But Tiffany Trump, if people point out, I mean Kai Trump.
That's the
Granddaughter. She goes to, it was a bad timing. She goes to Erewhon with her Secret Service. You know where Erewhon is?
Erewhon?
Oh, it's a LA.
Like Air Force One?
No. Erewhon is this, it's a Instagram place to go in LA. That is a grocery store. Think of Whole Foods times 100. Oh. And it's very expensive. Hailey Bieber has a smoothie there. It's good. But Erewhon, anyways, I'm
a bodega kind of guy.
Yes. $21 for a strawberry glaze.
$21? Go fuck yourself.
Dude, I can't believe you don't know Erewhon. So here, this is where I have like the NPC brain, where I know all about all these like random things that's
why you're here.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. She goes to Erewhon. She does it. She wants to be a YouTuber. She does YouTube, and she's like, I took my, and it's a thing. If you're not from LA, influencers go out there and go, went to Erewhon for the first time. She goes with the Secret Service, and it was in the midst of something.
Can we Google that?
Yes.
Maybe it was when we were attacking Iran.
It was something like that, and people were making fun of her, like, "How dare you do this? People are starving. Your grandfather." And then, but she's just doing this stupid video,
right?
And why it struck a nerve. Here we go. But she's this 18-year-old girl who isn't even in college yet. Oh no, she may be at Miami.
She's about to be.
She's about to be.
Yeah. What was the headline, Deef? Sorry. Kai Trump's cringy Erewhon gross. That's how they spell it?
K-A-I.
What?
Like Kai Cenat. Oh, wait, Erewhon. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, what in the name of fucking medieval times is that? Erewhon grocery store haul and why it struck a nerve? All right, let's go down. So this is from March 11th. Kai Trump, the president's 18-year-old influencer granddaughter, went to a grocery store. And a lot of people aren't happy about it. That's because she didn't go to just any grocery store. She went to Erewhon, a trendy market in Los Angeles notorious for wacky wellness offerings and exorbitant prices. In a YouTube video titled I brought my
secret. That was what
I brought my Secret Service to Erewhon, posted March 9th. She documented her experience where she bought a smoothie for $20 each and her bill came out to $233. I'm about to go like
She didn't help herself.
Let me get this line out. I'm about to go like bankrupt with this stuff, she said in the video. I'm going to need to file for bankruptcy.
Now,
I feel like you're going to be all right.
Her grandfather does know a lot about bankruptcy.
Yeah, I like this line. The French revolted for so much less. Straight up Hunger Games at this point. LMAO. Let them eat cake was what came to mind. Now, she's an 18-year-old kid, obviously, like I was when I was 18, so
exactly.
But
now,
optically,
it wasn't like she went to Erewhon and someone stalked her. She posted it herself.
Yes.
So that's where I kind of get both sides, where it's like, why are you attacking an 18-year-old girl? But also, you're posting it.
Public figure too.
Public figure, and if you want to be a YouTuber, now.
That's right.
But yeah, she went to Erewhon. She was going to go into bankruptcy over it. There's a lot of quote tweets about it. It was March 8th, so I think that's around when Trump...
Well, Iran was February 20, the night of February 27th into 28th.
So there we go. So it was a week into it, and everybody... So that's what I think a lot of people...
Yeah, it's like, this is my thing. When you looked at the Biden administration for 4 years, it was like a giant troll job, right? You had a president who like the lights weren't even on. Forget whether or not he was home. A bunch of unelected people running the country. You had fucking luggage stealing transgenders running your nuclear department. I mean, it was like this
greatest story of all time.
It was.
I didn't realize people did. I think people do that a lot. That's a thing.
What, the stealing luggage?
Yeah,
thing?
people just show up and
That's like a klepto thing?
I think people just do it because they know that like it's almost like a Storage Wars but for free. Because you're just taking a bag and then you're like, oh.
Well, now Palantir's taking over the airport, so maybe they'll
so
that,
so right? you'll steal it and then they'll kill you. They'll just shoot you dead.
Shoot you with the
or
drone.
if you shared like the wrong Benjamin Netanyahu meme.
That's
you also
right.
So it's
You're
either
done.
or. Yeah, you're done.
But like optically, it was top to bottom. It was like embarrassing, and you're like, okay, it can't get worse than this, right? The Trump administration, it's hard to explain, but it's like a different language of it. But the optics everywhere are awful. You have a lady with a fake face running fucking the Homeland Security Department and spending millions of dollars while her husband's wearing fake titties out there. That, in their defense, they could have never known about the husband. You got Kash Patel, who's one of the dumbest human beings and can't even. I mean, he's looking at two places at the same time at all times, but never at the investigation.
We'll see you in Valhalla.
You got top to bottom. It's a similar kind of thing. Just you know what I mean? Like a different
it's a copy paste with a completely different actors. It's very Now I think what I really think my read on it is I think the Trump and this is what we kind of talked about before we started recording. The Trump admin's kind of philosophy is it doesn't matter what the optics are. We win.
Do you think that is how they've always been, or do you think they got this enormous fucking big dick from like the culture shift when they won the election the second time?
So when I say we win, that's their philosophy. I'm not saying they're winning. I'm not saying they're right.
Right. No.
But I think, and they may be lucky. They like the COVID stuff, everything that happened during COVID, and then kind of the Biden administration. I mean, he lost in 2020, even though he says he doesn't, but he lost in 2020 for re-election. And then he won again. It was this crazy comeback story, but it really happened because we went through this crazy time period in COVID, which I think he gets a lot of shit for like, I mean, he was the president when it started. That wasn't going to be stopped by anybody.
I agree.
I think that was, you could have put anybody in it. It would have been impossible. The fact we even got to pull off the 2 weeks is almost like crazy in the American spirit, where it's like this country really did shut down for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
The fact that people even kind of agreed to that is almost insane. They eventually fought back.
And now today they would never agree to that.
It would never. If that happened again, it wouldn't. And looking back, I don't know what I would have done. That's why even like people get on Cuomo. Cuomo did make some pretty bad calls about the nursing homes. But I remember Scott Adams, who obviously more of a Trump guy, right-wing guy.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
He just died.
He was saying it's very hard to say to a Cuomo, you should have done this, you should have done that, because you're not in those meetings. You're not in those calls. Now, it doesn't help when it's just like at the same time. At the same time, he's going through another scandal, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Italian. It's just how I do."
I like the touch. It's nothing much.
He's like, I'm Italian. And then you have De Blasio saying, like, get the vaccine with the Shake Shack fries. So it's like,
here comes the airplane.
It doesn't help. So it's like, but his point was like making the calls is tough. For a lot of people, that was an impossible situation.
Yeah, and when I talk to people about it who were from like outside the Northeast corridor right here, right, in other places of the country, man, do I totally understand their perspective too from the very beginning, where they were seeing like very little of it. You know, they're like, no one around them was getting sick. Why is the whole fucking world shutting down? The weird part about here, and I think this is why the PSYOP was so effective, is because if you remember, the first 2 weeks it was kind of nuts, and no one knew nothing.
Bro, it was insane.
It was nuts.
So my dad had diabetes. He's had diabetes since he was 20, I think type 1, or whichever one used like genetic. So I was a little bit afraid to go home, because at first you were told like if there is like, they were saying like diabetes is, it turned out more so that COVID was a little bit like if you had type 2 and it was like you were very overweight, that was where you should avoid. But I was a little bit concerned. I didn't want to go home. Like, imagine, I remember reading, someone said it's like the risk of you being alone for a month or two is far less than what you would feel like if you gave somebody COVID. Now, and then, like, imagine if you were the reason your father died. Like, it would be awful. Now, that's what we were thinking at first.
That's what we were thinking.
Then it eventually became clear. It's like, oh, you could, like, it's
bullshit.
Yeah. But at first, and I remember I walked around. I went to Times Square. It was in.
Yeah, dude.
And then you go to Times Square right now. It's not a joke. There was literally nobody there. It was like a weird dystopian movie.
Yeah, I remember when I was really making shorts, that was a clip that really resonated. My friend Taylor Ringgold, back in episode 49, he was talking about it because he was going into WFAN to work every day, and he would ride in it from Long Island at like 9 p.m. at night, and it was just like I Am Legend.
That's the best, yeah.
It's crazy because Friday, I'll never forget this. Friday, February 28th, 2020, was the last time I was in New York City until like 10 months later or whatever.
I was in Madison Square Garden the night the city shut down.
You were at the Big East?
Yeah.
No shit. I remember when they canceled those games.
So the Big East canceled the next morning. They were going to play that like a 12 p.m. game.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to that.
And I was at it the night before with my friends. And that was the night that that Thunder Jazz game.
Yes.
After Rudy Gobert went like that. That Thunder Jazz game happened, and they were like, you were hearing reports. There was like, the players are like all in a circle with like their mouths tied, and like it was insane. Yeah. And at that, I think Trump gave a speech that night too. And my sister was studying abroad, so my parents were freaking out, and I was trying to be the voice of reason. I was like, guys,
it's fun.
But I wasn't even saying from the COVID point of view. I was like, guys, if you think Trump in America is not going to get a bunch of rich study abroad kids out of Europe, I'm sorry, you're wrong. They're gonna come home. But the parents, of course, I get it. You're a little bit freaking out. It's like, I want to get she got home the next day. She was fine. But I was there, and that was the last time. And then 2 days later, everything was shut down.
Well, this is what was crazy. I was still working on Wall Street at the time. I was like transitioning out of there. But I'm in it because I got clients, and the market was that was the February. I remember because Kobe Bryant's memorial was February 24th. That's the
craziest part.
And that's when the market started taking a shit, was that Monday. And so that Friday, the 28th, I'm in the city. I have a meeting above Grand Central Station.
Okay, yeah.
And I was early, so I go down into the bottom of Grand Central Station with the Bluetooth on to take some calls with clients. I'm like fucking refreshing the Dow and the S&P, and it's like everything's red falling through the floor. The Dow is like down like 1,700 points. And I remember I'm getting off this call with a client, and I just look around, and I see thousands of people down there. And there's dudes in military uniforms returning from service or whatever. There's, a missionary trip over there. There's a commuter going to an office over there. And everyone's normal. And I had this moment where I'm just like, looking around. I'm like, we're going to be all right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're going to be fine. And then
I was firm on, by Easter. Because I think Easter that
year. This is before it even shut down.
So, and crazy enough, I was in London 2 weeks before, that February 18th to 25th or whatever. And during that time, when you were around there, in London, it started over there a little bit more. I was almost shocked that I didn't get it. I don't think I ever got it. I never tested positive for COVID.
I did. Yeah, I remember it.
I do.
And then I got it a bunch after that, but it took a while.
Now maybe but I did test a decent amount because they made us test at work once every Monday. There must have been, for whatever reason, our air system must have been really good in our office
in Manhattan for Barstool,
because even when people would get it, no one else would get it. It wouldn't become an office thing. That's not me saying it's fake. I was just I think for whatever reason, maybe it was. And we're in a Department of Education building. We're not in this really nice building.
Yeah.
We're in a building that's it's us. Then there's 8 floors of Department of Education, and some FIT, which is a college in
Fashion Institute.
yeah, Fashion Institute. Yeah. So it's like old school New York building. For whatever reason, even when people would get it, it would not spread.
You know, I haven't thought about this in a while, like this era, that April, May, June of the pandemic, because this is when I was building the show around the clock. I moved back into my parents' house, building a studio, and I would just, be working all day, and I'd follow some content in the background. But like that was the Davey Day Trader era. That was Portnoy's moment. That's when that call her daddy shit blew up, and somehow everyone was like actually paying attention to that. And what's crazy is Dave, got to give him a lot of credit for this. He was like such an early voice of reason on this. He saw what this was. I remember when he put out a video, probably like early May 2020.
Yeah, me
where
too.
he talked about, he's sitting in his apartment and he talks about this Fauci moving the goalposts over and over. And you're just like, yeah. And then Elon went on Joe Rogan on May 4th and he was saying the same thing. And you're like, whoa. And suddenly you're looking at Elon Musk and Dave Portnoy, interesting pairing there. And they're just saying like, everything that we're being told right now is not really what it is, and these people are just fucking enjoying this. And that was the click moment where you're just like, oh my God, yeah.
It's crazy to think that first month, Fauci was a superstar.
Oh, yeah.
And then now
he loved it.
Yeah.
Fauci,
yeah, I mean, and he had that kind of Northeast accent. Everyone
Wear
loves
your
it.
mask and everything will be all right. Shut the fuck up.
Well, that's the craziest part about COVID is how we've been. The mask thing, then you get into the vaccine. I mean, I get it. I think they had the best of intentions. Now, maybe there was some powerful ruling class above everybody that did
You
this
still think they had the best of intentions after the shit we've seen? They're fucking eating babies out there potentially.
I know. I mean, maybe they just knew Fauci was this guy who's like, he'll just do by the code. I feel like they felt, looking back, the vaccine part is crazy.
It's crazy.
And it's not, because it wasn't even a vaccine. It wasn't like the polio vaccine. It was something that was just, and like, how did we even know if it was safe and effective? It looks like it. Yeah, and we probably won't know for a while. You need some long-term studies. But it was a huge bet, and I get it. But also, you look at these other countries, and I know they're a little bit different, but like Sweden just kind of let everything just go. Mm-hmm. But it's tough because there were so many people dying. Yeah,
but they were also, that's the thing. They incentivized, the insurance companies were incentivizing hospitals to put COVID on the certificate because hospitals were losing money hand over fist because people were afraid to go to the hospital if they had any type of problem. And so they'd say, well, you get $13,000 or whatever it was if someone died of COVID. So some dude's had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, been in the ICU, and then he dies and they go, call it COVID. And suddenly that's a statistic. I mean, it's nuts. The fucking incentivization. Like because now we look at this from like the post-Epstein apocalypse and you're like, holy shit, who really was pulling the strings here?
No, I don't know. I wish I did. That's what it's. And you kind of see it even what just happened this past weekend. The immediate responses, and I don't blame people for it.
Right.
It's like, oh, that was fake. And I get why people say that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many. And obviously, even putting aside some of the things that are a little weird about what happened this past weekend, I'm more saying I get why people kind of are like that.
Yes, dude, even if there's stuff where I'm like, all right, come on, let's relax. Let's let things come out. I can't sit here and, let alone lecture, like yell at people or get upset at people for thinking the worst when there are some of the things that people used to be called inherently crazy for saying that now are like provably true. And you're like, guess I can't rule out this other stuff, you know?
And it's so funny because and this is kind of, I remember I was told in just the really basic like AP, maybe it was U.S. history or AP poli-sci or whatever. And they were just saying, politics is very simple. If you look back, the country goes one way and then it shifts to the other way. And then it goes back and then it shifts the other way. And it's so funny because the people that were mad that were in 2020 to 2024, it's like, oh, just take the vaccine, shut up. Like, enough with the conspiracy theories. Now, those are the same people that are saying, oh, that was the fakest thing we've ever seen but here's the thing: it will shift back too in 10 years. We will sit down here, and then the same thing will happen, and then and the people that were the conspiracy theories are the ones that aren't even questioning things anymore. So it's like it's just this shift back and forth, and that's where sometimes they lose me a little bit. But I'm all for people. I mean, if you want to ask those questions, ask those questions. I don't know how you would recruit a Caltech mixed skin kid that had a Blue Sky account that was talking with William Stencil and
he's gonna live.
Yeah, and he has to go to jail for the rest of his life. I don't know how you would recruit them, but it's crazier things. You never know.
Like and that's where you can't just run to stuff with absolutely no evidence to go off of, which, to be clear, people were doing about 5 seconds after.
Of course.
But like the fact that your head runs to considering the idea that like, maybe he was MK Ultra. It's
you have to.
Crazy.
I was going to bring it up. It's like maybe MK Ultra, or maybe that discombobulator thing that we were just talking about. Maybe there's a discombobulator that can just trick your brain.
Yes.
I think I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's a crazy thing to say, but I get why people are like.
Yeah, you were talking about the masks earlier. I forgot about this. Right?
That's what I was thinking.
Walking around
like
with
maybe you. Yeah, the mask.
Jonna Mendez, who was like the godmother of like fucking CIA disguises. She tells the story, and there's a picture of it. H.W. Bush was at CIA, obviously. She knew him. Mm-hmm. Like, they had a close relationship. And then I think it was at this point, he's president. He's not vice president anymore. He's actually president. So maybe it's like 1990. Mm-hmm. And she tells the story where she had come up with the new prototype mask, and she's like, let's test it out. She did a full briefing closer than you to me to him for like an hour, and then went like this. And he was like, what the fuck?
30 years ago.
35 years
35 years ago.
What do you think they got now, bro? You see those videos of dudes putting on the mask and like tighten it up like this and then putting the hoodie up, and you're like, I would not know. And that's a basic, like, out of like a Spencer store in the mall.
Yeah, they just want to steal to go get like get $50K in jewelry.
Yeah.
What are they willing to do where it's like trillions of dollars are on the line? I mean, I now it's not even money, it's power. Because it's like at a certain point, I mean, all these people are fine for the rest of their life, no matter what. Mm-hmm. So that's
not what it's about.
What? It's not money. I mean, they already made it.
Money's a way of keeping score.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then they're just power. I mean, it's the egos. I don't know if it's wanting their place in history. I don't really even know. Because I saw a tweet coming in here. It was like, so we're talking kind of on more of the theory side. Mm-hmm. On the real side, there's a huge chance that this guy who just got arrested, he thought he was going to become like a Luigi Mangione figure. Mm. And he was going to potentially kill somebody and then become a political kind of hero. Yeah. But no one gives a fuck because he's not that good looking. And it's just he's a kind of a weird, like he's a average looking guy, and he failed. So that, and I mean, I think it's fair as a human being to think of things from a probability point of view. And yeah, there's a chance it's fake. There's a chance that this guy's just crazy. And there's a chance that he thought he could do something. And then also, all the indications are, I can't believe they had it at this Hilton.
Yeah. That's why they need the ballroom, Jack.
I know. And then and I will say, I mean, when these people are saying these things, and it's like the first time an FBI director went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That's insane.
You got C-SPAN fucking they were throwing side shots at it. Can we pull this up, Steve? Before the shots rang out, they're like, I guess C-SPAN, this is like their, Met Gala or whatever.
Yeah.
So they got the cameras for all 10 people watching at home, and they're like, and there's Kash Patel. To be clear, you need to be a credentialed media member. I'm not really sure how he's here. He's technically not in the cabinet.
And Hegseth was there too?
Hegseth is in the cabinet, though.
Oh, okay,
so that's more possible.
What it is.
You know who I didn't see there?
Who?
Howard Lutnick.
Howard Lutnick.
I never saw my boy Howie there. This is interesting. That's just really interesting.
Howard is. It's funny because Howard's in every photo behind, and people will post tweets. They'll be like, "Who's that guy behind him?" And it's like the people that know. It's kind of that meme. It's like the people that know. Yeah, the people that don't know, and it's like the guy, and it's like the people that know, and it's like deep fried.
Yeah, it's if you go to Twitter, I just love the initial headline. Patel, I've never been intoxicated on the job. Excellent. But if you go to Twitter, type in C-SPAN Patel, and they like you just hear the people doing this. We're in that's it. All right, let's get volume on this.
Here we go.
This is great. We got to mark that because that'll be.
We'll be discussing the dinner, talking about issues,
Patel.
taking your calls as well. Looks like Kash Patel is in the ballroom itself. Do not know who invited him. Again, you have to be a media organization and a member of the White House Correspondents Association to have a table.
All right. So C-SPAN's so interesting because it's WFAN for
Yes.
for like it's literally WFAN for international or for politics.
Yes.
But even like less so. It's almost because WFAN for politics was like Rush Limbaugh and all that. Like C-SPAN's kind of almost
They're the PBS.
and people call in, like they literally call in. Who is watching? I've never heard of. I know people that watch. If you go into, this is another thing that fascinates me, is TV ratings for Fox News, CNN, MSNBC are all driven by old people communities.
100%. The average listeners
68.
2 years ago was 68, 69, and 70 for
They're all around the same.
Yep.
And then you hear about and then you hear from my parents don't watch news like that. Maybe they'll turn it on if something's happening.
Right.
But like I've never been home and then there's my dad watching MSNBC or Fox News.
Right.
But then you talk to people and say, yeah, my grandfather, you go home, they have Fox News on 8 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Yep.
They haven't missed the 5 in 15 years. And I'm like, I guess someone has to watch it.
I was with my dad's like just old school passive.
Yeah.
You know, well, what's that playing in the background? Or, yeah, that sounds about right. You know, like that. And really smart guy. He just doesn't have time to like actually pay that close attention. So I'm down in Florida with him, and I forget what it was. He was asking me about like Tucker Carlson's opinion on something with Israel that he heard about. So we have on when the war broke out. Tucker did this like 90-minute sit down explaining the whole thing. Like, I'm Tucker Carlson. This is all wrong. And so we stick it on. And at one point he goes, obviously no one supports this war except for, you know, I hate to say it, but the people born between 1946 and 1964 watch Fox News. And I'm just like driving the car, looking straight forward, not saying anything. And my dad's just over there like, damn it.
Got him.
That's me. I'm just like, that is entirely
But it's
accurate.
fascinating. How does Fox News handle that? Because how do you keep your base while also trying to get new people in? Because what happens to those viewers? Is it just kind of, the people that are born from 1965 to 1980 in 15, 20 years, they're the ones that are going to be watching? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know, though.
I think they're right. This is my guess. I don't know because I don't know anyone at these networks in particularly. But, you know, when you look at CNN, when you look at Fox, when you look at MSNBC, I am guessing it's like they realize the boomer generation is the largest, most overstuffed generation there is. They're going to ride this turkey as long as they can, suck the last bit of the fucking fat out of it for money and for power and to get things through like FISA warrants and Palantir and wars with Iran and bullshit here and bullshit there. And 10 years from now, they don't care if it's gone because no one below those ages is ever going back to that. So they're just riding it while they can and sucking the rest.
And what do you think happened? So that's the big question. The people that are kind of rising up now, like even right and or left, do you think these are people that can make the change? Because I mean, let's be real. Trump was supposed to make the change. That was his whole thing, drain the swamp. But it's not really. Like you could even be someone that really loves Trump, and I think you could sit them down and say, "Hey, you didn't drain the swamp," and they would kind of be like, "Yeah." But is it impossible to? Or is it just?
It's a great question.
And do you not have enough time to do it? And is it he's trying to drain the swamp and then the courts there's these courts that stop it? I don't know. That's more saying from his point of view, or he was just lying. He needed the money anyways. And then
here's the thing. Here's the thing about Trump that's so confusing to me. when his first administration was very chaotic to me. I have political differences with Trump. I'm going to have political differences with everyone who goes in there because I really don't identify with either party. But like once he was gone, and he was gone for a little bit, you got past all the hoopla with January 6th and all that, and you could really just think about it. I remember in like 2022, looking back on his presidency, and yes, it was chaotic. Yes, you never knew what he was going to tweet. Yes, there were things you didn't like. Yes, there were very dumb people hired. Yes, there were mistakes all over the place. I'm not saying that wasn't the case. But I remember thinking about like what everyone was so worried about before he got in there. Didn't happen. And I was like, exactly. I was like, didn't happen. And I said, I completely agreed with you. I said COVID was going to happen to whoever was in there. That was like whatever, fine. There were things mishandled. Who cares? Before that, I'm like, was it the worst presidency I've ever seen? I was like, no. George Bush was significantly worse. I don't think Obama was a great president. I'm like, Trump was fine. Now this is why I say this. When he was getting attacked while he was out of office, they threw charges on this guy. They fucking, they fucking almost killed him, like the whole bit, whatever that was. It was almost like, okay, we've seen this before. He's a liar. Yeah, he's a New York guy, but like it can't be worse than this, right? And then he comes in, and it's opposite day on everything. And it's a different kind of bad. Like Biden's bad was a very different vibe to it, like we talked about earlier. This is a different kind of bad right here, but it's bad. And to your point, it is whatever the opposite of Drain the Swamp is. They're literally building like a fucking Palantir Superfest nest underneath the goddamn White House, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
I think that's a fair assumption. I mean, what even is that? And that's even like the 13th on the list of concerns.
Right.
I mean, I think you saw what happened in Venezuela, and you're like, okay, got in, got out. In theory, you could be against it completely, but it didn't get into this endless war. But what's going on in Iran, it could be endless again. And then that brings us back to kind of Bush into Obama days. And it's just, now, also another thing that I'm thinking about is, now, is this just Trumpian? Or are we going through this, like, we're desensitized to it, but there's so many things happening every single day. The New York Times didn't even have the assassination attempt on their back cover on Sunday morning.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that was because Saturday night into copy? Sunday. What?
You get the physical
No. I saw it on Twitter, but I don't think it was on but there's so many things that happen, and we over criticize everything, which is great. I think politicians should be over criticized if anything.
Agreed.
What will the next one look like? Does it kind of go back to the Obama thing where it's like nothing ever happens? Or do we go back to the Biden where it's like we have kind of a zombie running it? Mm-hmm. Or is it kind of just the Trumpian politics exists, and then there's kind of the opposite effect of Trump that comes in, that whoever wins, I mean, if it's Newsom, if it's I guess Newsom's kind of the leader now. I guess Kamala could run again. I don't think they would run Kamala again.
They can't run.
But she wins in these polls that they put out. She does.
What polls?
Well, that's another thing. The polls are a legit joke.
The fucking Soros polls? Like, what are we talking about? But she can't put a sentence together.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think she would be.
I don't want to be president.
Like Newsom is definitely, or Josh Shapiro. But I mean,
Josh Shapiro will never win because of the Israel thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. They didn't pick him because of, picking Tim Walz is one of the all-time decisions.
Yeah.
Because you could have gotten a Tim Kaine, who Hillary had, who was just whatever.
Yeah, he was white milk toast.
Yeah, milk toast. Tim when he was walking out like this, and then he's like, I'm a football coach, actually. It's like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Then he got married. Like his favorite thing of all time was like the Tiananmen Square. He got married on the Tiananmen Square anniversary. He loves China. Minnesota's its own thing.
Yep. It felt like a troll. That's what everything feels like. It's a simulation.
But here's the thing. That's the establishment to an extent. I think it shifted a little bit in 2024, but still got huge money from huge donors of people that are the establishment. I mean, George Clooney is the establishment, and there were so many CEOs that were supporting it, so many companies. How does that decision get made? How does somebody not look at that and think this isn't going to work? I get why the Josh Shapiro thing didn't work, but even with that concern, I mean, she still had the same. There was a big kind of looking at why she lost, and they still feel as if her, like a lot of people said, it was like people didn't come out because they were kind of concerned about her potential support of Israel. So like, if that was the
Hers?
that's a huge, if I recall correctly, they're kind of looking back on it. A lot, they're kind of, when they went back and played Monday Morning Quarterback and they did the full kind of analysis, that was something that came up.
I guess to prevent some of the hard left vote from coming out.
That's
what I'm saying, because that's one, like, I don't think Kamala had an issue. I think Kamala was another peasant Avante on the string who wasn't going to do a goddamn thing. Of course. But like when you write down her policy positions, that was
here we go.
She had Trump
scoop. Dems working on secret report found Gaza costs.
Because she didn't speak up enough.
Yeah, but even though here's the thing: you're trying to please people. What could she possibly say?
Right.
Now I understand this, but these are people that want it. Where it's like, oh, they want. The thing that she probably would have had to do there would be I'm going to recognize Palestine as its own state.
Yes.
But then also, I mean, this is the issue with political stuff, and then political suicide, and then she'll probably lose a lot of donors. I mean, that's why it's like, I can't imagine wanting to be political to that extent. If you just do stuff online, you talk about stuff online, it doesn't matter. You have your own fucking home. You can defend yourself, all of that. You're out there. You have to play so many games.
Yes.
And that's why I think that's why I kind of feel a little bit. Kamala's her own thing, but I feel bad. It's like but then again, you picked this power hungry game. You knew it. You could have stopped after you were in California. You could have and then also you can get out and make fucking $5 million a year being a consultant.
Why do you think they go for it when they know they're going to be owned?
I think there is a power and ego desire within people that I can't fathom. Mm. And that's probably just because like my mother and father were just great. They don't really have it.
Right.
There's some people that just, it's inside of them. It may be genetic.
Let me ask you this, because I was thinking this earlier. Like, how well do you know Dave Portnoy?
Not well at all. He's just my boss. He's just my boss. Right. And I like that he's my boss, that it's more, he's not someone that really, unless you're an OG, I don't think you really know him that well.
But you probably know a little bit more about him than the average person on the street, 100%. I'd say. Okay. So like Dave Portnoy, self-made, built this whole thing standing, on at train stops, handing out paper newspapers in 2003 after leaving his job. I respect the fuck out of it. Builds this up over so many years. Ends up taking some chips off the table, selling to Carlyle Group in 2015, whatever that was, part of it. Maintains full control, though. Ends up then getting that back, but then giving up to Penn and maintaining control of the company, but not having control of the overall thing, and then somehow ends up getting his $500 million investment back for $1 and gets the whole thing back. He's, as far as things are concerned, like fucking a billionaire. And yet, to me, everything I hear, he still hungrily attacks every day, just like he did 7-8 years ago, even like that.
I think he's definitely somebody that's a little bit more, well, obviously he's still an ambitious, hungry guy, right? Because if not, he would have just went away.
100%.
But he's not, like, back when I started, he was in the office every single day. Now he's in Florida. He kind of runs it's kind of an operation that's a little bit, and also I think it's strategic because he knows that he's not going to be around forever and not wanting to do everything Barstool related forever. So he needs, you're almost forcing the content employees that you have to almost make it by themselves without him. If that makes sense.
Yes, but still being, here's my question, Jack. Still being so big, so involved publicly, clearly the face of the brand and all that, he seems from the outside, even if there's some things where he's thinking about the future like that, he seems like he is still driven to build, get this thing bigger. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, by the way, but I'm curious, like, for a little lesser parallel here to like running the fucking country or whatever, what makes a guy like that who's done more monetarily than in his wildest dreams want to still have that drive to do that?
So I think it's two things. One, I may sound like a bootlicker, but I think he bought the company back. He said this publicly. He did say, he was like, I just want to keep this company break even. We want to grow, of course, but we want to keep it break even. I think he actually cares about the people that he employs. He will call them names and everything, but he's New England, Boston. Like he's gonna call you stuff. If he really hated you, he'd fire you, right? He'd get rid of you. And then also, I think there's like, I mean, he's a guy that he probably would have been doing what he's doing if it never really worked out the way that it did. And he makes all this money. What's he kind of, he may like kind of being front and center, but not that much. I don't know. Why does he do it? There may be a little bit of but also, what do you do once you make all that money? Do you think you would stop? Let's say I give you $100 million now. I don't think you'd stop.
No.
Maybe you do one a week. But I don't even know. You strike me as somebody that would do it still 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe there's a little bit better of a setup and it's a little bit like you would have more options just because money is buying power, literally. But I think it's also, I think about it, it's like if you got this money, like what would you do? I don't know. I mean, it kind of gets boring if you just...
Yeah, I'll never fully retire.
Exactly. You would get bored, I think about it. And maybe... And he does, and I think he really likes the idea of like he can give back to people. He did that whole Barstool Fund thing. He loves to help individuals. That very sad stuff that happens with police, firemen, when there's just awful things that happen on the job. And of course, there's a lot of things that happen all the time. You can't do it for every person, but he does that a lot. And so maybe I don't know what makes him tick.
Yeah,
I don't think it's an overall power desire dynamic because he's not hitting everybody up every day and being like, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. He kind of lets you run free.
That's cool.
Which is really cool, and especially from a creative point of view.
So let's bring it back to the politicians then.
Did I go to the bathroom quickly?
Oh, yeah. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. So what I was going to ask you was, you brought up the original point where we got on that tangent about, Dave and like how he looks at power. You brought up the point of like, what is it for these politicians that they want to do it where they're still going to be bought off, but like there's something about the power that they love, even though they could get out of that and go make $5 million to go give a speech somewhere or whatever. So do you think it is a parallel on a way higher scale to like, in a bad way in this case, to like Dave, like, well, I just want to keep continuing. I built Barstool, so I'll just keep continuing. It doesn't matter how much money I have. And they're like, well, I became a politician, so I'll just keep continuing. And that means I need to try to be this position instead of that position or get to the highest position.
Yeah, so maybe it's just that they continue to try to get to that next step, the next goal along the way. But yeah, it is a good point that maybe it's just them continuing and they've done it for so long. And maybe they've done things, and this kind of goes to a lot of the other theories. It's like maybe they've done things along the way that they. I'm not saying this specifically about Kamala. I'm saying this just in general. Maybe they've done things along the way, and maybe they can't stop. Maybe there's a little bit of a no. You're going to do this or else. And now, what is that else? We expose this, we expose that. I mean, that kind of goes back to all of the blackmailing. And I'm sure that exists. And now, my bigger question is, how big is it?
Right.
And is it as big as is it not big, or is it as big as the craziest thought about it is? Which,
it's in the middle.
Which is still pretty damn big.
Yeah.
And this goes back, we talked about Kristi Noem's husband with the fake big boobs or whatever that he's into.
Whatever was going on there.
He had to tell Kristi Noem and the FBI or maybe CIA before she started, or maybe in the midst of it, because they were saying they will use it, like other countries will use this as blackmail. So we need to know about this.
Wait, he told them about it?
I think before it became public. If you look it up, he had to tell intelligence agencies because they could have used
back when she got the job.
Yes.
And they still gave her the job? No way.
I'm pretty sure that was in those articles. You could look it up. Like it's there. I mean, I think the intelligence agencies were saying, "Hey, we need to know." They may have even found it and said, "We need to know about this. Is it true? If it is, we need to be prepared for blackmail about it." Because that's how and where's that blackmail from? Who knows? Could be from our allies. Could be from other people as well. You never know.
Of course.
You never know.
That's the thing. There's no such thing, in my opinion, as a full-blown ally in any way. Everyone is looking to one-up everyone around the world. There's no such thing as that. Are there places that are certainly closer friends and friendly? Yeah. But we still all spy on each other.
Like Kiriko, how do you say
Kiriakou.
Kiriakou, he was talking about that too, and he's talked about it in a lot of interviews. It's everywhere, and I think he was referencing it's like when he worked with. I mean, he probably has the ultimate brain for this, but it's like when you work with spies. I mean, they're spying on you already, and even when you go and work with a specific agency that's supposed to be your friend, they're probably spying on you too. I mean, like I'm sure Mossad knows everything about everything.
Yes.
And that's their job, though. And you can hate them. They're really good at it.
They're the best in the world at it.
And that's probably why we allied up with them. To an extent. I mean, that goes all the way back. I'm not the biggest expert on that, but I will say, I mean, like we send them money because they probably give us stuff back.
Yeah, but they give us shit intelligence.
Yeah, and
I've just talked to so many people who are like, they give us the intelligence that they want the intelligence to be so that we can go do the things that they can't do themselves. Which, by the way, let me be clear. I'd think the same way if I were them. But I think what has pissed off Americans more than ever is the fact that our people continually go along with that. And we're like, why is that? That's interesting.
I think it's really valuable to ask all those questions.
Yeah.
Why is someone an ally? And then, I mean, I even think, when I'm discussing and thinking about NATO and all of that, it's like we're paying all of this extra and we're doing all of this for kind of countries across Europe to exist in their own kind of fantasy world. And then if anything goes wrong for them, then we have to come in. And then we're also getting screwed on a lot of those deals. That makes sense to me in terms of why you'd be against it. But you have to ask those same questions about in a military point of view as well. And I mean, the Middle East, we'll probably die without having answers about the Middle East.
And the other issue is that, this isn't the 1980s, 1990s America. We don't have a burgeoning middle class like we did back then. People are being left behind. This dystopian world has shown its fucking fangs, especially over the last 6-7 years more than ever. And people are they're getting apathetic and angry.
And jobs are going to start going away.
That's right.
And specifically jobs of kind of those middle class and that doesn't really even exist anymore, but even more so. And that goes back to I was talking about AI from a content creation point of view, but the bigger question, like what happens? I really don't know. Now, is this going to be, and this is kind of the Gary V point of view, it's like, oh, there's always new technology. There's the radio. They freaked out about that. The internet, the printing press, the line in the why am I blanking? Like where they would like people used to have jobs working in car factories, assembly line.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like all these things that jobs have always come and go.
That's right.
But this one feels a little bit different.
And to Gary V's point, that's what we say about everything. This one feels different.
Yep.
This is the new normal. The question is, we've never created something that can actually outthink us.
And it's only going to get smarter.
Now, let's go back to what you were saying earlier about when you were talking with the Meta AI guy, because this is fascinating to me.
Now, I just want to make it clear, that wasn't a guy that worked at Meta. It was another influencer there.
Got it. Okay.
But I didn't hear that from a Meta AI specific person. Okay. I just want to make that clear.
But this is someone that you would characterize as being very much in that space and understanding. Okay. So I think there's something to be said about commoditized content to where, let's say you're someone who's not necessarily like a personality, you're just here's how to do this or whatever content, and there's nothing particularly special or charismatic about you that draws people to you in like an artistic communication way. Yeah, you're in trouble. You're in deep trouble with AI. But I do think, and I don't think this is the bias of my industry and being in this, I've thought about this a lot over the past 5, 6, 7 years. I do think the actual substantive communication, which has a whole range to it, topics, all different subcategories and stuff like that, but things where people need to feel like there's that thing where it's a person and they can relate to them and it's what it is. While there will be some AI that I think is so good that when people first hear it, they could get tricked, I think that the veil of companies also revealing what is AI, which is going to be important to legislate. Like YouTube will have to say this channel is AI, or Facebook will have to say this page is AI and stuff like that. As long as we have those guardrails set up, I think once people know that, like, let's say they're listening to a show talking about current events or a guy telling his story or something, once people inherently know that it's not a human talking, they're not going to get into it. That's why that Drake and the Weeknd AI song that was fucking fire when you first like hear the first bars of it that came out a year and a half ago, no one listens to that because it's AI.
I know, but like that one of the top Spotify country songs recently, AI.
It was AI. But what happened when it got revealed to be AI? I don't know anything.
I don't know. And so my response to that, even though I think I agree probably 90%, is what happens when it gets too good. And also what you just said, and I actually agree with what you were saying, but you're talking about Congress, you're talking like we can't rely on those people to make the right calls on AI. They fucked up everything else. How are they going to be the ones that put the guardrails? Now, it's really kind of scary, but also like, I mean, the big people here are Elon, Zuck, TikTok's its own thing with China, and now it's in America, but it's like that's Oracle now. And you could talk, then I mean, who knows? Maybe these are the people that really will control it. And how good will they be at identifying AI?
And that's also a real concern too, because it's like at some point Donald Trump represented the outsider to places and people just like many of those people you just mentioned. And now term 2, right from day 1, they're on the dais at the fucking inauguration. And then the next day they're rolling out AI
with Larry Ellison
and fucking Altman.
Like,
what is that, man?
And then, I mean, obviously Elon's involved, and then like Elon and Altman are kind of going back and forth, but that could even be fake. Just like, it could really be fake. Just they're just showing, there's different thought.
They used to like each other like a decade ago,
and like those are two guys that probably could like each other tomorrow. It's the same thing with Elon and Trump. They go back and forth. One day, Elon saying that Trump that's why he's not releasing them. He's on the Epstein list, and the next 2 months later, he's at Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
They're almost, but here's the thing: is that calculated, or is everyone just running around with their heads cut off? I don't know.
That's the $1 million question, man. What if it is reality TV versus what if it is really just a clown show?
I think that it may be both, but even think about, you said reality TV, and of course I go back. I mean, that's Trump's bread and butter, and that's why when I said earlier, it's like Trump, the thought process behind Trump, and everything in that administration is, if people freak out about something, it doesn't matter. We go on to the next day. You just keep going. Yeah, it won't matter, and it may matter, but it's more so their philosophy is, we don't care. We continue on. That's kind of Trump's entire thing, and you kind of see that from what he wrote in his books and everything, where he's I don't care. I just keep going.
He learned, like, he really took what Roy Cohn told him to heart.
Yes.
You never fucking admit defeat.
Yeah.
You always change the... What are the 3 things?
It's like admit nothing, deny everything, and keep going. He doesn't...
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
But he doesn't care. He just laughs it off. Or he's like, you're wrong. And then attacks the media member and then just keeps going. But here's the thing. How many media members... Attack. Yeah. And then he just continues on.
Yep. Attack. Admit nothing, deny everything, claim victory, never admit defeat. What does that sound
and
like?
Then also... Trumpian move is make everything worse and then make it 1% better and then say, look.
We won.
Exactly.
We got the Strait of Hormuz open for an hour.
Yeah.
It was totally open fucking for free 2 months ago.
No, I know. Now, but here's the thing. What Trump will say will be, well, now look at the American oil. Like, we're going to produce more here. Now, was that his goal and thought process when he did it? Or... it's also kind of like in a weird way, and even Democrats will admit to this, Trump somehow always comes out on top. This feels like it may be over, like the run may be over, but but think about it. Like January 6th happened. He denied every election result. He won the election 4 years later. He came out on top. I mean,
what happened 2 days after January 6th?
On January 8th.
Forget all the controversy over whatever happened on January 6th. Just ignore that.
No. What happened on January 8th?
Remember when it was there.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like, this is bad. He was castrated on January 7th. He was like, even like his hardest core supporters are like, all right, I can't. Just, all right, whatever. Like 2 weeks. All right, whatever. January 8th, he got kicked off the internet everywhere. Oh, yeah. And they immediately made him an underdog. Immediately, they made him the guy who was being attacked, and he got to say, look what they're doing. They're doing it to the sitting president. What do you think they can do to you? Then a year and a half later, they raid his wife's panty drawers and charge him with all these crazy fucking charges. Then he almost gets his head blown off. And they kept it got to the point where people were like, yo, this motherfucker.
And then he has a mugshot.
Yeah. And
people wear it on a shirt. But that's the point of what I was trying to say. It's like, we just win. And it's almost luck, but it's just, there's I was talking with my friends, and people, it's I think a Jewish saying, there's just like a North Star of sorts where it's just like, no, it just works out. And it's in like the Torah or whatever. And it's in every culture too, but I forget the term, but Trump kind of has that where it's just kind of, and then also like Dave Portnoy gets the company back for $1.
Right.
And it's like, he finds delusional. The caller daddy.
Yeah.
And then, but Trump, and then like, oh, people attack Dave, but then he just keeps going. What are you going to do? And then you find the next.
D found it.
Yes,
Cam Zulatova. This phrase is rooted in Jewish tradition, specifically with the sage Nachum and Ishgamzu.
There we go.
Used it to mean that even in a situation that appears negative, a greater good or spiritual lesson will ultimately emerge. Which there's something to be said for that too. Like in a serious way,
There's something viral on Twitter right now. It's like the placebo effect of sleep.
Yes. Tell yourself you slept well. Yeah. Suddenly you feel like you did.
And then. Like there's just kind of, I mean, this goes back to, it's maxing. Like, I mean no disrespect to anybody but max is the idea of like, no, I'm going to win. It's like, I guess the better term is delusional maxing, but it's like, obviously if you got shot in the leg, you can't delusional your way through it, but it's
right.
Next, who cares?
The power.
Oh, you're freaking out?
The power of belief is real, though.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, that's something that, yeah. And that goes beyond religion. Or it is religion, but it's where, we've had religious wars forever. But it's the power of, and that's what, yeah. But the power of, and that's what, and this is kind of more on the crazy side. It's like, why do you think they gave people all those wearable trackers? Because when you, and I'm not saying it's fake, but it's like, you see that you slept shitty, then you slept shitty. But if you just like, oh no, I don't sleep bad, and you just keep going.
I shit you not, because you're referring to that tweet. I saw the same tweet this
weekend.
Yeah,
people were talking about with the Whoop, which are great companies, but yeah, or the Oura Ring.
Well, no, the first one you mentioned about the
placebo,
the placebo effect. Like, I didn't sleep very well last night because I went to bed late, and I shit you not. On my walk, I'm very routine. I have the same exact routine in the morning. It's the one part of my day I control. And on my walk to the gym, I just told myself, I said, I feel great. I slept fucking great last night, and I had a really good workout this morning. There you go. I was like, wait a minute.
And also the one thing I remind myself, the human body's insane.
Yes, it is.
It's that like AI can't replicate it. It's like, it's truly like the human body. Think about all that's been through for forever.
It's funny you say that because I was what got me
like
thinking
it just
on
adapts.
That the other day.
Now, obviously, there's things that happen, and it's not. We're all talking within reason.
Yeah,
like you can't delusional max your way through cancer, but you may be able to really think positively. But you should you go to the doctor, all that. But the little thing like sleeping, and then also kind of this idea where it's like when things go bad, it's like, oh, who cares? Now that's really hard to do. But the ones that have perfected it. Trump's probably one of them.
Yes. I do think no matter what, there's something to be said for that. He has a delusional, and I wouldn't even call it a positive self-belief. He's always negative in how he talks, but like for himself and for winning, he has a delusional positive belief and reinforcement. And when you repeatedly use words like tremendous, terrific, amazing, we went above and beyond, we won like never before. Many people were saying it. Many people. You start to see
greatest
those
economy
people.
ever.
Yeah, you start to see it. Now that has a lot of negative effects.
Yes,
but for him, he's like, he buys it.
Oh, he buys it to his deathbed. Yeah. And I mean, even like in theory, I mean, not to say, I mean, we just saw what happened with Eric Swalwell. Trump had very similar things too. Now, but Trump just continued on.
Yeah.
Swalwell's dead. Not dead, but maybe he'll pop up on like MSNBC eventually. But
that was a hell of a fucking. He had a Diddy-esque apology video or whatever that was. It's like, all right, let's sit in a hotel room. Let's make sure we're in front of the hotel blinds, which is totally not where they film pornos. And by the way, don't wear a tie. Open up your shirt. Act like you just fucked and you're finishing to talk about why you didn't fucking sexually assault.
Craziest part about him is, I think that stuff where that's obviously not good. What happened with all of his staffers and all that. That man dated a Chinese spy for multiple years.
Oh yeah, Fang.
That's
while he was on the intelligence committee for a long time. Or right after.
And how often, like, that may be happening without us even knowing. You do have to think. I'm not
that
thinking,
shit
but
happens.
The honeypot stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
All the time.
And let's be real. I mean, there's like a lot of people that come from a lot of these countries that they could find like a very attractive woman, send them over. I would assume, how many honeypots happen in DC?
Dude, I hate to say this. I hate to be this guy. I think about it. For myself.
Oh, 100%. I think you should 100%. I think about it for myself too. And you have to think about it just from a, like, and I think there was a article written probably months ago as how it happens a lot in San Francisco. And because they want to get the technology. Like, there was someone that worked, I don't know if it was Oracle or one of those top tier ones. There was a woman that he married that was a Russian spy. He was with her for 25 years.
Oh, if I could tell you some stories.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that's probably, and that's public. There's probably, like, think about
There's
it.
a lot of that.
And they won't even, that's the spy I married. Inside the spy who married a techie, inside the rise of sex warfare in Silicon Valley.
Chinese and Russian operatives are reportedly using attractive women to infiltrate tech companies, seduce employees, and steal trade secrets.
And obviously this has been happening forever. I mean, how long have operatives used attractive women? Forever, probably. That's because that's the number 100%. One weakness of powerful men. I mean, in men in general. It's like,
dude, I hate myself for even, it feels like I feel guilty and it's like an impure thought.
I think
when
of it
I look through
ego, ego thing too. It's like, why would anyone want? But especially you, dude, you have an influence that is, and you probably don't even think about it because you're in this studio.
Think about it.
You're in this studio. And you're just like, oh, we did the podcast that did well. Nice, we do the next one. I mean, I really mean this from a true point. The impact that you have is very dangerous to a status quo that already exists. Now, there's a lot of you, but not really. I know you think there's a lot of you, but not really. But you know how insane it is to be able to post a video with a random homeschool, like I was advocating for homeschooling, and it gets hundreds of thousands of views, and then that doesn't include clips? People would pay, brands would pay for that impact, and people that really want the impact, hundreds of thousands of dollars for each one. But you don't think about it because you're in this studio in Hoboken, New Jersey.
It's so dude. You
know what I mean?
You're nailing it.
Yeah,
you're like,
it's just like, and you wake up, you go to the gym.
I talk about it all the time. Like I'm an extremely private person. I keep it, which is so ironic because like people get to know me doing this. Like they just do, because I'm talking with people of all different backgrounds for 3 hours at a time, multiple times a week. And like, they get to know who you are, and that is a nature of it. But like, there's this, and then there's my life. And what it's been since day one, when I had 0 followers 6 years ago in my parents' house and pressed the upload button, is the same it is today. We're recording this not live right now. No one knows you're here. We're chilling in fucking Hoboken. And later, I'm going to hit this magical button that says upload, and 5 days later, I'm going to get back and be like, wow, people watched that.
People watched it. And then people are going to, and people will clip it, and people will put it up, and you'll put up on your own pages. And then think about it. You're talking to people all over the world right away. So, I mean, and that's something that people need the impact.
Thinking about
I
that.
I know.
It's like, it's a thought when I go through some of these, especially when they're like a 12. I'm like,
yeah. And then also, but do you think like, do you ever, and I think I've heard you discuss this. Are you ever thinking about that from like who you invite on?
Yes.
And
people don't see what happens behind the scenes now with us talking about people. coming on. I hate that we have to have these conversations, but I got some stories for you, man.
Yeah, exactly. And and then also I think people trust you. So you probably have gotten a lot of stuff and they know they've told you things and it's never gotten out. So that helps.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've talked to so many people and like how many people, and then there's the chances are, I mean, and this isn't, we didn't talk about Joe Rogan forever, but people were posting, they were like, oh, look at all these people that were in the Epstein files that were on Rogan.
It's not fair to him.
That's not fair.
It's not fair to him.
Also, he did say no to Jeff. That's a crazy story that one guy wanted him on, but he's had like over 1,000 episodes. It's
the only one where I was like, and who the fuck am I to talk, right? I'm
No,
a huge
yeah, which
believer
one?
in not doing
Yeah.
stones from glass houses, but when he had on Peter Thiel last year, and this is before the Epstein stuff came out and all that, but I was like, I don't know about that one. Like, I feel like that's going to bite you in the ass. But he also, as from what I understand, like he put that off for a long time and then finally was like, fuck it. Like, all it takes is being like, fuck it one day and you do it.
I know.
And then it's done.
But
I've done that.
Yeah, exactly.
With people that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Fuck it.
What
Yeah.
the fuck? You know? So I think people, and it's so strange, people love to just fucking rip apart Rogan for every decision he makes now. And I'm like, bitch, none of this exists without him.
I know.
Where were you when he was getting attacked by the whole machine 3 years ago? Who were you?
I know. Well,
You know, it's so, listen, he's not perfect, but no one's perfect.
I think he has a great point of view. He hits upload and then he just goes about his day.
I don't know. Look, I don't know him at all. I've never talked to him in my life. Obviously, I have 60 friends in common with him. I don't know that it's that simple anymore, unfortunately, because he's been so viciously attacked again and again. But from everything I hear, the nonchalance of the actual recording is like, just like it was. Like he walks in, hey, you ready to go? Like, let's go.
Let's go.
You know, and that is the most important part. It's a matter of, I think what happens, and it's not just like in podcasting or whatever, I think it's in anything. When something starts and it's just pure and there's not bullshit and there's not people yelling at you or whatever, there's a special upstart nature to it. And then eventually it gets bigger, and it's not your fault, but it gets tentacles and it gets all these, you know, hard stops at 3 emails and shit like that. And I don't think he's gotten that, but with anything, you lose at some point, like some of the luster and the specialness because you're thinking about bullshit. And that's something I always try to pull back here because I'm like, yo, 6 years in, this is just like it was day one. I have to think a little bit more about some people that come on, but like I'm still, you know, I put on a shirt about 60 seconds before you got here today. You know, that's not even normal for me. I'm like this dude that just rolls out of his apartment and talks with people. And I'm always saying, we got to keep this purity. However this is. And if that means that I still have to, like I do all the thumbnails, right? If that means I still have to be doing that 3 years from now because we retain the purity, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah, the purity is definitely something that, yeah, and once it grows even more, then it really gets out of control because then it's like, I have these people that are working for me, and it's like, that's probably a question you got to really think about as an owner. It's like, I have to make these decisions that, for me, I'm fine with the risk, but there's 10, 15, 20 people that work for me, and then you don't want to screw them over. Now, it's a lot easier when it's people that you know or
I got my best friends working with
exactly, and it's like you guys are all on the same page,
right?
But once it becomes so big, you have to make these calls that are really, really difficult. I would assume
that's also something Rogan's done an amazing job with. He doesn't have a huge team. He doesn't have a huge team. I think the part that probably sucks for him is like all the security that he has to do and shit like that. That's different. But like, you know, you see all these other podcasts. They got fucking 40 people with headsets when you walk up to it. It's like, that's not what this space was. If I ever do that, put back of my that's like figured, if not literal. YouTube, don't demonetize me. But you know what I mean.
You go to some of these places, and there's like they have like 15 editors. Now I get it. It's great. It's good for the economy. It's good for the people that are doing it. But yeah, it's and they're really on every single word that you say. I walked in here. You set up the cameras yourself. You were adjusting them. It's very simple. You go to the bathroom when you have to go to the bathroom. It's a very chill atmosphere. There's some that you go to. It's because these businesses, these companies, they've seen what the power of the spoken word the media holds and new media, and they need to get involved. I mean, look, OpenAI paid how much money for TBPN, which is
tell people about that. What's
so
that show?
TBPN is kind of, think of if the tech world had a sports center, and they started a year ago.
What'd they get, like 200 million?
Yeah. Now, I was a little bit surprised by the number, knowing how I don't want to sound like I'm hating on them.
What am I doing wrong?
No.
What am I doing wrong?
And I was I hit up my agent. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, did I just do everything wrong? And he was like, well, OpenAI probably overpaid a little bit. And then also,
a little.
And then also, here's the thing. I think OpenAI could put $1 billion in front of you. I think you'd say no.
I'd say no.
Yeah. I don't think you want to do it.
Because I'm an idiot. I'm genuinely retarded.
Well, that's another thing where that is it better to just play the game to the max degree? But if you don't want to, then here's the thing. I think you would lose a lot of fans.
I would lose everyone, and they would know I sold out, and I wouldn't be able to live with myself.
Exactly. So
that's the most important thing to me.
So then why does it matter? Now, obviously, you want money, but you're going to make money.
Yeah, I say that as a joke, but it's also like they're valuing and no disrespect to these guys, but they're valuing them, at 7,000 views an episode at $200 million.
So that's
like,
what I was.
What the fuck are you and me worth?
So that's what I was going to say, and I'm not even trying to hate on them in any way, because I really think I hate when you see other content people hate on other content people, because it's like they're all doing their own thing. Everything is valued different ways, and also maybe they have this grandiose plan. I look at that and I see the views that you do on every single podcast episode. So that would throw the entire thing out of whack. But here's the thing: a lot of people aren't going to say yes to OpenAI.
And that's another thing. Pretend it was an OpenAI though. Like, I'm a big believer in what have people done versus what do they say. And it takes time. You gotta, you come out into the world. You got to develop a reputation, and that is the only thing you die with, and you're still forgotten about a week later. But
which is so sad. We were just talking about Kobe, and Kobe gets talked about, but like
not like you should.
I mean, that guy's like one of the most and you can discuss Kobe in a lot of different ways, but yeah, I mean, there's people that die, and like you could die now, and the president could tweet about you and say, "I'm glad you're fucking dead." Yeah, like, think about that.
Yeah,
but think about that. Now that's Trump, but just in general, people die. That's the sad. That's probably and one thing I try to work on a lot. It's like you should be okay with your morality. But yeah, no, that. Listen, I remember when I was 5 years old, I remember thinking about like what happens when you die, and it's never left me.
What do you mean it's never left you?
Like I always think about that. Not always. That's the wrong way to say it. But I remember I was like 5 years old, and I remember maybe I cried out. I remember asking my mom, "It's like, what happens when you die?"
What'd she say?
She was like, "Oh, your grandma's in heaven, and that's what happens, and that's what's going to. And if you're a good person." I was 5, but I've always thought it's just kind of death in general. I'm always thinking about like your morality. It's like, damn, and what this place goes on forever. What happens after that? It gives me anxiety in a way that's I can operate with. It's not like a deathly anxiety, but it's something that's probably been in humans forever. Like that kind of like knot in your stomach where you're like, wait, what happens after this? But the people that I envy the most are the guys that like modern day people that just don't care. The guy that goes into the boxing ring or an MMA cage says, fuck it, I don't care. I'm going to go fight. And yeah, I could really like something really awful could happen. Lock that cage, it's me and another man, and we're going to fight until the end. Now, obviously there's a ref, there's rules, but those are the people that I look at. I'm like, holy shit, those are guys that don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain thing inside of you that's just, and I'm talking even people that do it, not even like, oh, you can talk about Ilya Taporia, you could talk about Terrence Crawford, you could talk about Floyd Mayweather, but I'm talking even people that kind of just do it.
To do it. Yeah. Everyone's wired differently. And there's two things I always remind myself, because I want to take a step back for a second and go back to a question you asked a minute ago. But like, number one, I've only ever lived between my 2 ears. I can psychologically look at data and see how other people think, but I can never fully know how each individual thinks. And number two, and this is why I want to go back to your question. One thing I always say is people, and sometimes I get caught doing it too, and I just did. people throw around the term, if I were blank, then I would blank, about very serious things all the time. And the fact of the matter is, you never fully know until you're faced with that decision.
You're right.
So no one has ever put anywhere near $1 billion in front of me, to be very clear.
Okay, yeah.
What I can say, though, is that I have had a lot of money, and Deef will attest to this, Alessio will attest to this. I've had a lot of money put in front of me in the
100%.
past from people, and I have instantaneously said no, because whatever that thing is, and maybe that's why I'm not well capitalized, maybe that's why I don't own a house, maybe that's why I haven't made nearly as much money on this show as I have, but that thing that exists in people to where like the ultimate scorecard is how much money they're making at all times, I don't have that. I never have. I am a fulfillment guy. I am a guy that when I go to bed at night, if I look in the mirror, I'm like, do I enjoy what I do? Like, I think Gary Vee used to have a term about this. There's people who are romantic about how they make money. And he wasn't necessarily complimentary in saying that. But I realized early on, you know what? I am romantic about how I make money. I only want to make money on things that I really actually value and things that make me feel good. And if that makes me weaker than other people and being able to move forward with a bank account like other people can and I can't, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I also think, and this is probably something, and this is what friends tell me, my parents tell me, they're very supportive, they're great. I feel like that's one of the luckiest things you can ever have is like really supportive parents, or even just one. But both of mine, I just lucked out. I won the lottery with that.
Me too.
And this is what I'm going to tell you. Like the impact you have is like, I mean, I know you don't believe this. It's otherworldly. You're probably it's tough to say, but of people in media, like, I mean, there's not a lot of people doing what you're doing. I
never think of it that
I know,
way.
but like, I really truly mean that. It's like, I mean, we could pull up your numbers, but like having consistently 6-figure, 7-figure views on podcasting episodes just on YouTube. We don't see the audio numbers. We don't have that publicly, but like then you add those up and you can like calculate, you think about it. That's an impact that like you can put a monetary value on it, but I don't think that really matters for you. And you may even have a reputation because I know how all these places work. Every fucking talent agency in the world knows who you are. Every UTA, CAA, WME, but in every company, not every company, because marketing, there's people like, and that's another discussion for another time where it's like, who runs marketing? That's another discussion for another time. But these people know, but they also probably know it's like, oh, he doesn't want to do it. They know like.
It's so strange.
But like, and then they're like.
I've been at WME for a long time. I love my agent. He's great.
Yeah, but like those are people that there's even, because then we get to the discussion of, and this kind of goes back to Peter Thiel. It's like they've always tried to have those types of people in their back pockets. And you go, and this goes to JD Vance. And then it goes into, it's like, oh, when did he start to have a connection with this person that turns out to be, what's Peter Thiel, top 10 most powerful person in the world, if we had to guess publicly?
That we know of.
Yeah. How big is, then it's, but how do they get these new people? And that's where, I don't know.
That's a great question, man. And that,
because they would start these, and it's always interesting when I hear it. It's like they would run these newspapers in these college towns, and they would like Peter Thiel, or they would invest in them, and they would find, and there was other people. There was people. This is how they would find specific political people. I forget the name. They would invest heavily. And these are people that would kind of be hand selected to be the next, because they see how they write. And like there were people underneath these powerful people reading all of these, and they would find.
Yeah. Is this it, Thief?
Yes, the Stanford Review.
In 1987, Thiel co-founded the Stanford Review, a conservative and libertarian student newspaper at Stanford University. Ongoing support, Thiel has maintained a relationship with the paper for over 35 years, providing financial donations and acting as a mentor to staff. And
Peter Thiel is not unique in this. There's people that throughout, specifically, this is how like rhinos kind of worked within like the Republican Party, where they would find these people that are politically active in college. And then, obviously, if they're writing for the right-wing newspaper within the college or the review, whatever it is, then they would find and see who they thought was really talented. And then they would kind of take him under their wing. They would get a really good job.
Yeah.
They would or not even a really good job. They would say, hey, you want to come work for us? And then this person who has these grandiose ideas in college gets told, we want to help you run for somewhere in a small district. And then before you fucking know it, you're a senator, and they come back and say, hey, remember me? Or, hey, we've been with you the whole time. This needs to get through. And then along the way, if you're thinking really crazy, I mean, think about all the things that we've done as like throughout my 20s to 29.
Oh, everyone can get got
in ways.
fake stuff too.
And like get got in ways that's just like even just a conversation you had at the bar with your buddies that you didn't really mean or anything. You get got.
You get got.
So, and then it's this search, and Peter Thiel's not unique in this. I'm sure somebody will point it out in the comments. There's other people that have been doing this for a while. I think, I forget the name, but there's people, if you can tie back a lot of politicians, and this is kind of the chicken or the egg, because if you're writing for a public or for a newspaper in college, you're probably likely to get involved in politics. But they also kind of like, they're always keeping an eye on it. And then I wouldn't be surprised now if they're always keeping an eye on people that are making videos that's the new newspaper. They find the 18, 19-year-old and they say, hey.
Yeah, you're taking the words on right. Dave just said it, Clavicular.
Okay.
Who's funding him?
Well, I interviewed him.
You did?
Yeah.
What's he like?
Really neurodivergent.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
You know what's crazy? He went to Seton Hall Prep.
Yeah,
He's
he
from
did.
Hoboken.
Yeah, I think I know some kids who went to school with him. Actually.
I don't know if anyone's funding him. Now, he did just open a club with people that are like a little bit more like on like a Jewish mafia side.
A little bit of Israeli mafia.
Israeli mafia side, which I've heard some things of that aren't great.
Like what?
I just think it was more so, not that I heard it specifically, but it was more like, look them up. Like, here, I could get the name.
When did you interview him?
Right before he shot that alligator. He told me like tiptoe maxing and shit.
Tiptoe maxing.
Wait, let me find.
Oh my God.
Channel
5 reported that.
So
What did Channel 5 report, Steve?
That Peter Thiel is funding.
Yeah.
So was that more of like a conspiratorial type video? Like I think they were a little bit more of a. So that's always been the thought. Where is
there's like a guy like Uncle T or something like that who gives them all these donations. And
yeah.
And here's where the thought is. Peter Thiel talks about like transcending, which is dangerously close to ascending the human race and creating like a second digital race and basically like promoting transhumanism ideas and whatever. And I'm just saying here, Jack Mack, if I wanted to hack culture to create that, I would convince an entire generation of men that they got to take fucking 60 million drugs and Looksmaxxing and not reproduce and fucking castrate themselves into perpetuity, whatever it is, you know, just to try to keep up with the Joneses and create that standard. I mean, when you listen, I actually feel, as much as I joke about it and whatever with Clavicular, I empathize with the kid, and more specifically, like I feel, I don't know if this is the right word, but like pity for him, you know, because he clearly is very neurodivergent, as you said. So and I think he was a nonverbal autistic for a couple of years when he was a child. So like he has some actual rooted health issues, and society was able to torture him in such a way that he feels like this is the only way to be able to exist among people. And unfortunately, at age 20, he's just out there trying to make money and doing his thing. He doesn't understand what he's being used for, in my opinion. And there's people who would be like, he knows damn well what he's doing. Maybe, but like, I think he's just a really dumb fucking young kid. And he's been just thrown into this spotlight out of nowhere. And I feel bad for him.
Yeah. So he's a smart guy, as a lot of neurodivergent people are.
Sure.
He knows, I would say, like if you IQ tested him, it would be very high.
You know he's from Hoboken.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think he's just, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, and you have to think about it. We're talking about all of these newspapers and college newspapers, and I was telling like, oh, they found that's JD Vance and all that. Yeah, they probably are doing with TikToking too. I mean, but here's the thing with Clav. I've known about him for a while.
When did you first find out about him?
2 summers ago.
And for people out there, a lot of people listening do know who he is because he's been astroturfed all over the internet. But for people out there who don't know who he is and what his thing is, can you give a full context on that?
So Clavicular has risen to fame recently for specifically streaming and being a Looksmaxxer. And also the Looksmaxxing is essentially if you're a Looksmaxxer and you're a guy, it's just essentially just trying to become better looking, but he uses very aggressive techniques. So that would be like hammering your face to try to break small bones within it, and then it regrows and gives you better cheekbones and jaw feature.
That's apparently pseudoscience.
Yeah, that may be. I don't know if this is. I'm not endorsing this, but this is a guy that was like, yeah, like I think he took like HGH, like steroids when he was younger. I don't know if that's confirmed, but this is like what a lot of the Looksmaxxing community is saying. And then you are, especially when you're younger, it's the chance to really, like, you can do things because your body is morphing into what it's going to be, so you can be a lot more aggressive. You can't, his thing, I don't know if this is true, but you can't get taller once your growth plates close, of course, but you can be a little bit more aggressive when you're younger, he says. And like also you can be aggressive with all of these drugs, but also you can really fuck up your endocrine system, and it can be really, really bad. Now, he's risen because he's kind of funny in his own way. He has this weird way of talking, which is terms like jester, which is just clown, gooning, which was already pretty popular, but like jester maxing, Looksmaxxing, and he adds maxing to the end. Like, we're podcast maxing right now. He went up to a girl once on stream when he was having a party, and she was sitting alone. He's like, "Oh, are you okay? You're alone maxing right now." But he says it, and so I was talking to him. I was like, "Don't you find the comedy in this?" And he was like, "No, anyone that thinks that's funny is retarded." And I was like, I was like, I don't want to be disrespectful to you. I was like, do you really mean it? It's like, no, I think that's just how I talk. And anyone that thinks it's funny is just wrong. That's just how I talk. And and he says, I don't get why people clip it and it gets hundreds of millions of views and all of this. But also, this is a guy that's why he's popular. And I've said, do you think you've created kind of, because his whole thing, I asked him, it was very apparent. You and I are having a conversation right now. We take joy in this conversation. Mm-hmm. I was like, it feels like you don't take joy in anything. Mm-hmm. I agree. And he's like, yeah, that's just how I'm wired. And then I said, what gives you joy? And this is crazy, but he said, and within a second, he said, meth. And and I was like, do you still take meth? And he's like, no, not anymore. But I was like, but that's what fires you up? He's like, that's what fires me up. And I was like, what about helping Looksmaxxing? He's like, yeah, but no one really wants to do that anymore. And I said, well, do you think you've kind of created this community that doesn't really value anymore? He's like, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Just because he has such a big, I mean, this should be a very small community, 0.00001% of the internet. Now, what are the effects of this?
Dude, and that's the thing. I was so fucking stupid when I was 20 years old.
Oh my God.
I was stupid when I was 25.
Exactly.
You know, so I have always felt bad for these kids at any level of attention when they're thrown into the spotlight and then they have to look stupid in front of the world, and then maybe they convince everyone else to be stupid too. So that's where I empathize with him. But like, you know, he's 20 now, but he was starting this stuff when he was, as far as I've seen, like when he's like 16. Where the fuck were his parents? You know, your kid's in the bathroom.
Yeah,
your neurodivergent kid, by the way, is in the bathroom hammering his face. I remember I saw clips of him talking about his mom would like try to take away his hammer or whatever.
Yes, he would take away her.
But like, clearly something's off here. Maybe get some help.
Well, they took away his passports too because he wanted to go to Turkey to get double jaw surgery. And double jaw surgery, for those that don't know, would be to like accentuate. But here's the thing: if you look up this kid, I mean, the kid is a good looking guy already. But he says there's you know how, bro? He's on 12 milligrams of retatrutide.
Of what?
Reta, it's a peptide.
What does this one do?
It's like you know how GLP-1s, it works on one receptor.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's like not Mounjaro. There's another one that works on 2 receptors. Reta works on 3. But it's a peptide. It is not approved by the FDA. You get it from China or Mexico. It's gonna, my prediction is someone may be watching this by the time that it gets approved, because these pharmaceutical companies like Hims, like Lilly, all of them, they see, bro, if you look up Google Trends, Reta gets searched like no other. People are obsessed with it, so that means they want that to come in. RFK Jr. has talked about it on Rogan, saying that he's going to get some of them in. This is all the peptide craze. But here's the thing about Clav. Clav's been around. Clav was a part of this weird thing on the internet called the Cookieverse.
Cookieverse?
So this is when I get very just like, this is cookie. So there was this weird.
That's why you're here, Jack. Man. Keep cooking.
Yeah. So there's this guy, and he's still popular online. You can look him up. His name's Cookie King. Big on TikTok, specifically for kids, probably 14 to maybe 21, but usually like a lot of his fans were very young, and his name's Cookie King. And he created this Cookieverse where he had a lot of people that he posts like 20, 25 times a day. And a lot of them, these Cookieverses, he meets all these people. Clav was a part of it. Here's Cookie King.
This is real.
And you know Santa Cruz Medicinals?
Yes.
He does this locked in. And he's tried to help. I would say, is a great guy who's older. That's not the Peter Thiel. He's helping truly. He's like, guys, just go to the gym. You don't have to take all these crazy things. Your hormones are through the fucking roof already. Just go to the gym. You're 18. You can put on all the muscle in the world. And he does these locked in events. And he did it with Cookie King once. And he did it, and Clav was there. And this was this past summer. And that's when I really got and saw Clav for the first time beyond just kind of some random videos. But Looksmaxxing became very popular on TikTok in 2022 to 2023. Yes. And then Clav was kind of doing that, and he was already big. There was these forums that exist. And then he did it on TikTok, and then he is what he is now. But he's been around. Do I think he was funded? My guess is no, but nothing would surprise me.
That's what I'm saying, dude. When I look at different ways, Tyler Oliveira and I were talking about this in episode 363 when he was in here, but like when I look at different ways as to how I would destroy, collapse society upon itself, there's 100, maybe 1,000 different broad variables you need to do that. This is one of them. No, this is how you destroy when you start making people destroy who they are as a person to try to win the affection and appeal of other people strictly on that metric, and then you mainstream that and make that the popular thing so that other kids who are you know how impressionable I was impressionable when I was 27.
I'm impressionable now.
Yeah. Absolutely, but like on a whole nother level. And then you look at these 18-year-olds, bro. I was an only child. I was on an island. Like I was looking around going, all right, what are we supposed to do? Like it makes me so sad, and it's also pushing men and women away from each other, because that's another thing.
That's a huge thing.
And I put a tweet out about this, you know, and maybe some of it's maturity, and I'm a little older, and I've been where I need to be, and I know what I want in women. But like when you look at all these women that he's hanging out with and fucking and glorifying, and to be clear,
you know what he does.
What does he do?
All of those women are like a lot of them are his OnlyFans models, and he makes money off of them. So it's like the internet pimp in its own way.
You're making my point for me. When you see what is now being glorified, all these girls are like the most I was going to say the most prototypical club girls. Well, now you're telling me they're even like fucking OnlyFans models. And like, just getting back to our basic evolution, when I see these clips of these women, they do not possess a single trait that you look for in a mother of your child. Not one.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I don't think he thinks about it like that.
Of course he doesn't. That's the point.
What would go, if I was to make a case for why he's not what he is, or not funded, is His PR guy was this guy by the name of Mitchell Jackson. Mitchell Jackson runs, and this was a infamous tweet. He runs like the Arkham jail. What's the Arkham Asylum? He runs an Arkham Asylum of people. He runs. If you look up Arkham Asylum Mitchell Jackson tweet, you should see who's his PR people. This guy's the nicest guy in the world. I love this guy, Mitchell Jackson. But I'm going to show you his list of people that he represents. He represents the Arkham Asylum. Candace Owens.
Yeah, I got to see this. If we can use, he's going back and forth. We can use the camera too a little more, if that's good. Yeah, I want to see what you're talking about here. I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah, so Mitchell Jackson, but he dropped him recently. Mitchell did.
Drop
Clav because he was concerned about his drug usage. Look up Mitchell Jackson.
Type in Jackson.
On Google. If you look it up on Google, if you just type in Mitchell Jackson Arkham Asylum, the first tweet will pop up. Because I looked it up, I think, literally yesterday.
All right, we got it. So, bro is running Arkham Asylum. Described quote-unquote interloper, the 33-year-old PR pro is accustomed to working behind the scenes on behalf of high-profile and frequently shit-stirring clients, such as Candace Owens, Brett Cooper, Adam Friedland, Caroline Calloway, and Adam 22. Quote, I gravitate towards clientele that have something to say because otherwise I'd be bored, Jackson tells me, adding, oh, this is from Taylor Lorenz.
So Taylor Lorenz, I also interviewed Taylor Lorenz.
Wait, is he at an agency or is he just a PR guy?
This is PR.
Just a PR guy. So this is not like a CIA guy or something like that. Okay.
Now, maybe Mitchell Jackson is fucking bought off. You never know. But Mitchell Jackson, and here's the thing: when I interviewed Clav, I got asked. They asked the company. I was like, "I'll do it," and then
I'll fucking do it.
And then I showed up. He showed up like Clav was still sleeping. And then Mitchell showed up. He had like he showed up with food he was eating, and we were just shooting the shit. He's like, "Yeah, Clav will be up in a few minutes." And then
Did you have to pay for it?
No.
Interesting.
And then I think some people have, but they asked, like, and this is when he was doing this 30-day stream, where he ended up eventually getting arrested. But but in the midst of it, they needed stuff to do, and that was when I was the day after, 2 days after Andrew Callahan interviewed him. And Clav ended the interview early. And Mitchell was like, "Oh, could you just not do it about politics?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't really want to talk to him about it. I know like you could definitely talk to him about all. I mean, he was a part of an international incident with Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes when they played Hail in the club.
Oh yeah.
And so, but I would rather talk to him about. I'd rather talk to him about his like. I want to get inside the mind of what makes him tick.
Right.
And I want to talk about the Looksmaxxing stuff. And I mean, the saddest part was when he's like, yeah, I was like, does anything fire you up? And he's like, not really. Meth, which is kind of sad.
That's so sad, man.
But Mitchell Jackson dropped him and he said, you need to get help and I won't return to helping you until. It's very funny because Mitchell Jackson, he's this eccentric gay man. He's is, you know, he's gay. And his relationship with Clav's pretty funny. It's like Clav is this gay PR person, but Clav has really liked him. And ever since Mitchell said, you have to get sober, Clav has claimed he's been sober.
Claimed.
Yeah, I mean,
what did he do? He just like OD'd on a stream or something?
Yeah, but he takes these like beta blockers and then he adds alcohol in the mix and then he adds a bunch of other shit. Boy,
he's not, isn't he 20? He's not 21. Even drinking age. 21. He just turned 21. Yeah. Okay. That is fucking.
Ziz. Okay, so yeah, he's the kind of the original OG Looksmaxxer YouTube. Like, remember Rich Piana?
Rich Piana.
You've never
show me a picture of Rich Piana. Sometimes the names don't do it for me.
He was like 8-hour dumbbell session. You'll recognize this guy. This guy was OG internet legend.
Oh, yeah.
He unfortunately died. Yeah. Rest in peace to him. I loved his videos. He was so funny. What?
Died in Clearwater. Yeah.
Rich Piana, 5% nutrition. He was unbelievable. But Ziz, he was huge. Clav is kind of like him too. But then there was another guy. I forget his name.
Do you see this ending not tragically?
Well, they both died.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Do you see, and like, I don't mean to be morbid around here. I wish Clavicular nothing but the best, and I hope he comes off all this shit he's doing. But like, do you think we are sitting here 5 years from now talking about someone who is still alive?
Yeah.
You do. You think he'll live the next 5 years?
I think he's so neurodivergent that if he gets help from off of drugs, he's so focused in a way that could be valuable for him. He doesn't like going out. That's why he took drugs, is why he told me. But he kind of has this weird kind of bad feedback loop where good content for him is being out in public. Mm-hmm. He said he's a guy that he's told me, and when we were interviewing, it's like, he's the guy who like could go and be in his house for 2 weeks, not talk to a fucking single person, and it wouldn't matter to him.
Yep.
Maybe he'll talk to people online, but not really. But he's the guy that, and he says the reason that I take these drugs is because literally the day that I interviewed him, he tried to go out to a club that night without any drugs, and he had a panic attack.
Yeah.
So that's the sad part.
I feel bad for the
kid.
kid.
And then he has this bad feedback loop where it's like the content that my people want is not me talking about Looksmaxxing, but want me to go out to the club and be mean to like a blonde chick, you know?
Let me tell you something, man. I don't know anything about the type of content he does. I don't know anything about the streaming world or the instantaneous reaction like that. So I have to speak from a separate address here, if you will. But if you fall into that trap of just giving what you think, I won't even call it people, what you think the algorithm wants at all times, you will completely lose yourself. And this is where I give myself a little bit of grace for maybe starting later than I should have. In the years when I was trying to find myself and figure out what I wanted to do with my life, when I should have had the answers in front of me, one of the things I did, unbeknownst to me, this was going to be useful, is I watched people online and across all different sectors and how they would change and what would change them and what the crowd would do to them and how they would react and how they would live through it. And there were so many valuable, it's not to say I'm perfect by any stretch, but there were so many valuable lessons I learned before I ever even bought a fucking camera that I had all these examples of like, ooh, remember when that guy did that thing because he thought that was going to be, don't do that.
Yeah, and you want to be very careful, especially about just be yourself.
Yes.
And also, it happens in a lot of different ways. It can happen with the fame becomes too much, or you try to seek out something that you think's owed to you. That's where it's like, oh, I have this amount of views, followers, I should be this, that, or the other. And then also there's a lot of people that if you can't take, like, you need to be able, you have to have a weird thick skin in a way that I know people that have thick skin, but they can't take criticism online, and it kills them online. I'm like beyond past that. I'm kind of good, but I still have it. Like, you're a human, you hear things and you don't want to, but the person that can kind of just continue on and not, but there's a lot of people that just the criticism eats them alive. Yeah. I've seen it happen. And they just are never the same. And maybe that's good for them. Maybe the internet wasn't for them in their own way. And then people change a lot. And
you have to be willing to accept it, man.
And also, I think there has to be a grace for yourself that is, I'm going to figure it out. But it's tough. I mean, I'm still, like, I spend so much of my time feeling like I haven't figured it out. That's the catastrophizing and the spiraling, which isn't valuable for the day's tasks.
That part's not valuable, but the idea that you are operating under the assumption at all times that your shit does stink.
Yeah.
Is a huge asset. Now, spiraling, I agree. You got to find that middle ground, but like the alternative of like, I can't do shit wrong, bitch, you're done. When you do that. Like, there was an old quote, ironically, from Conor McGregor, who ended up living this in the wrong way, where he goes, people get comfortable with a win. They get real comfortable with a win, and when you get comfortable with a win, that's how you get a loss.
You know what's so interesting, and this is probably why I like MMA, UFC so much. I also heard from somebody, I don't know if it was this guy, but I think it was Kamaru Usman. He said he lost 2 or 3 in a row for the first time in like ever. And he said, it's easy. You can get used to losing. So it's also both sides. It's so funny how life is just both sides. But McGregor, I watch old McGregor clips. I'm like, this guy was the one.
He was the one.
He was, in a way that he was going to lose. And like, he was going to lose to guys like Khabib. But Khabib, he even handled Khabib pretty well. He took a round off him before he got finished, which is insane to say. He could have went back to the lab. He was there. He was alive.
There was a time where he would have.
The money we lost, the McGregor, and he could have been like a movie, like,
Yeah.
and even if it wasn't, now it's just, it's sad. I mean, the drugs got him.
Yeah,
I think he's a little bit better now, but it's just, we lost the prime of his. He went on a run that is unlike, it doesn't happen a lot. There won't be, and I say this a lot, I talk about MMA and UFC, we'll never see another Conor McGregor.
Once, I think what did it, and I've said this for a long time, was the Mayweather fight. He went 8 rounds with a still brilliant Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer in the world, the greatest defensive boxer probably defensively of all time.
Of all time, yeah.
And, you know, made fucking $60 million in one fell swoop. And it was like, how do you top that? It's like, it would be like fucking, what's a really good example here? Like Patrick Mahomes deciding to play in the NBA one day and dropping 35. They don't win, but he drops 35 in a game where he's lined up against prime LeBron and Durant, right? Like that's what he pulled off. And it's almost like that old Hagler quote where he's like, it's really hard to get up at 4 a.m. and work when you're sleeping in silk pajamas. He got into the silk pajamas and he couldn't recreate that. You know, I was out there with the bloomers in the morning, my friend. You know, I was making nothing.
So and I think what also contributed to it was he had this rivalry right after it with Khabib that was happening throughout, that brought out that instinctual kind of warfare that every man kind of has. And then once it was over, like he had it against Dustin, but then Dustin knocks him out. And then he fights Dustin again. Dustin's beating him up. His leg is, and then he's finished. Like, but even then, I don't think he wasn't like he was. And also, it was such a unique. I mean, he came from a place that it wasn't like he came from this family or gym that was known for iconic. Right. Like, there's guys. So right now, one of the best fighters in the world, I'd argue, probably best, Islam Makhachev. He was trained by Khabib's father. He's was in Khabib's gym, best friends with Khabib. We've been hearing about him from forever. McGregor came onto the scene. No one knew who the fuck he was. He was fighting. Ireland never had anything from an MMA perspective. They had some great boxers throughout the years, but MMA made the fuck up. And also, he had this innate ability to turn people's lights off in a way that not a lot of people have. It's a gift. But it's not like he was an athletic freak, dude.
Nah, he was up here.
Yeah.
He had it. That was his. And you know what? Have you ever, because like, by the way, I was really humbled. You were telling me before camera, like, you've listened to this show for a long time. That's always wild to me when that's the case. But have you ever heard me talk about the IMU theory that Charlie Rocket came up with?
Possibly. Continue on.
Yeah. So sorry to people who have heard this before, but I ended up having Charlie in here. He's a friend now. Awesome fucking dude for episode 352. One of my favorite podcasts of all time. But Charlie had this theory called the IMU theory that he came up with about 7 years ago. And it was at the beginning of 2019, end of 2018. And I remember seeing it, and I remember just being like, oh my God, this guy just figured out life. Like I never have that reaction to something, but it made sense. And basically he sat down one day and he was just curious. If you know Charlie at all, he is exactly what you see on camera. He is genuinely the most curious, like, I want to wonder about that question right there. Let's find out kind of guy. And he goes, I wonder who the highest grossing by revenue superhero of all time is. That's comics, movies, TV, everything in between. And he's thinking it's going to be Batman or Superman or something like that. And to his surprise, it was Spider-Man. He's like, that's interesting. Spider-Man's the one whose face you can't see. He's not particularly good looking, doesn't have a chiseled chin, came from like a lower middle class background. Parents were dead, wanted the girl, couldn't get the girl, had a weird talent, wasn't flying through the air. He was a fucking spider. That's interesting. He was relatable though. Okay. What is the biggest religion by following in the world? All right, Christianity. All right, who's the hero of Christianity? Jesus Christ. This was a carpenter. He didn't wear, in a time where you could have worn gold-plated armor and come in on a white horse, as the God King, if you will, and everyone would have bowed down to you. He didn't do that. He wore regular clothes. As I said, was a carpenter, a basic, working man's kind of job. You
can say that about Muhammad as well.
For sure, yeah. This just happened to be the one with.
I know. Yeah. But it's like very similar. Like it's just like and Muhammad was the guy that fought in battles. Like it was like with everybody. Yeah,
that's right. And he went around and instead of having all these fucking armies following him, he had 12 friends, and then sometimes he would give a sermon, and he was just kind of he hung out with poor people. He was like the average person. So he goes, all right. If this can work with a corporation, we're really on to something. He goes, what is the most famous corporation of all time? And he goes, holy shit, it's Apple. Everyone's got this in their hands. Who founded Apple? Steve Jobs. First corporate guy to say, fuck the suit. He looked like your dad. In a time where people were coming up with technology and naming things in Spyron 6000 or Xenix 4500, he named his products Lisa, iPod, iPhone. He named the products after you. And he goes, holy shit, this whole time where we're living in this culture where Instagram comes up and social media comes up and the paradigm becomes, oh my God, I'm not like you, I'm not like you, I'm not like you, I'm better than you, I'm above you, I'm clavicular, I'm ascending or whatever. The people that we actually most relate to, forget all the clicks, forget all the things where people run short term. The people we relate to over the long time are the people that are just like us. So what about sports? And he goes, all right, LeBron James is amazing. And at the time, Kobe was alive, and he's like, Kobe's amazing. And they're beloved, no doubt about it. And think about Kobe before he died, where it's an extra level legend after he dies. But he's like, the athlete that is unlike, that has transcended everyone is Michael Jordan. And yes, Michael Jordan now is a reclusive billionaire, but think about when Michael Jordan was coming up through his career and his rise. He was cut from his high school basketball team. He was the scrawny kid that wouldn't get a shot. Then he gets to UNC, wins a title, does all these amazing things, grows into his body, and they say, bitch, we're still going to draft Sam Bowie above you. Comes into the NBA, they ignore him over and over again, and then he can't get over the top, finally gets over the top in year 7, wins a title, wins 3 in a row, loses his dad tragically, throws his life away, goes and plays baseball, makes an idiot of himself in front of the world to some people because he wasn't as good at it as at basketball, comes back, wins all these titles and everything, had the song, because I'm like you, he's like me, and you know what, I want to be like Mike. Like he had that thing, that passion. He's like, everything, sports, religion, corporations, fucking superheroes. People over time are going to go to the people that they most relate to. And that's why when you're marketing to people, and you shouldn't even think about it from like a marketing perspective, but he's saying in general, speak to people like you are just like them, not like you are above them. And I think we have gotten to a point where we have sold society a lie that for some reason we have to be better than people or this different thing, and it ends up creating all those tentacles we talked about earlier where the people come around in headsets so you feel more important, and it's like the thing that makes things special are the fact that something like this starts with a backwards hat in your parents' house, and you got to keep that energy. And
I mean, even to go off of that, I mean, kind of how Trump won is that
100%.
And even though, but that's the craziest part about him is he was born with the golden spoon, New York real estate, all of that, but he somehow related to that because he talked like them.
What did he do? He put on the hard hat and he walked into West Virginia and said, I fuck with you.
You fuck with you all. Yeah, like you guys got fucked. Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of the politicians need to think about in ways that, like, obviously Trump is taking multiple wrong steps, but how do you do it a little bit like him and do it the right way? Like,
yes.
Because even though you think of it, and I would even say Obama did it too. Obama had I would love to have a beer with him. I may disagree with him politically, but he's a guy that I could have a conversation with. You don't have that with Tim Walz. You don't have that with Kamala. You don't have that with like you didn't have that with Mitt Romney. You didn't have that like George Bush a little bit too. Even George Bush seems like a guy that even though like I don't know if I would have a beer with him, but he did have that like and fuck it like and now watch this drive like where after so. But the relatability, and I was going to say, what is everyone's favorite NBA story of the 21st century?
NBA story?
NBA. I'm going to say it, and you're going to be like, yeah, what was the one that transcended the NBA more than anything else?
Of the 21st century?
21st
like
century.
Recently?
Yeah. It happened, yeah. I would even say it was past 15 years. It's going to hit you. What is the best story of
the Warriors?
No. Jeremy Lin.
It was short-lived, but yeah.
No,
it
was short-lived. You're right.
Yes.
I would say
you're right. You're right.
But even like Steph Curry is more like you and I than LeBron
I would never
James.
have guessed the Jeremy Lin, but you are right. I see exactly what you're saying.
That's
who Connor. We started this tangent though. That's who Connor was. Connor was the son of working class Irish people who then had to work as a plumber for 18 hours a day and commute an hour to work over these bumbling hills, who had nothing and would train with every amount of energy he had left at night. And he had the girl who stood by him and fucking when he had nothing would sleep on the floor with him and built himself up and came out of nowhere. And he was that dude. And then it's like when he crossed that Mayweather Rubicon, suddenly he became, I'm not like you. I'm this thing. And he lost the whole magic of what put him there in the first place. And that is a lesson.
One of my favorite sports moments ever is he took over like the MMA world and Jose Aldo was this unstoppable force. No one thought anyone could beat him. He knocked him out in 15 seconds with what he predicted.
I saw his left hand. It twitched.
You can't.
Unreal.
You can't. And I talk about it. It gives you chills. I remember where I was when I watched it, and it's just like, holy shit, he did it. And it does. It wasn't even like. There's always been great moments where there's been upsets and all that. And it wasn't really even an upset because they were very well matched. No one thought he could beat Jose Aldo, but people did to an extent. No one thought anyone would beat Aldo, and he knocked him out in 15 seconds. And he was bigger than life, and then it just lost him. Yeah, no, it's sad. It's you have to, but that's got to be hard when you own a Maybach yacht, where you want to, you own a yacht. How do you relate with the regular person?
I like my Honda. I like my flip flops.
Yeah, but maybe
I like
that's
my
the
chicken
key.
cooked in bulk.
But maybe that's the key.
That's the key, man.
And
don't lose it.
And also, like a lot of these people that end up a little bit more than that. Don't get me wrong. Everyone wants to elevate, but there's a lot of people that
doesn't make them happy.
And also, you see their kids too.
That's right.
I went to boarding school.
You went to boarding? Where'd you go?
Kent School.
Where's that?
Kent, Connecticut. It's probably 20 minutes outside Poughkeepsie. So it's up on like near the Hudson, right on the border of upstate New York and Connecticut. I just saw a lot of parents where they had everything. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm incredibly lucky, but it was a different level.
Right.
And there was a lot of people that had every advantage in the world, could never get it together to this day. There was people that before I went to boarding school, I went to another school, very similar, not as privileged, but privileged people. And they were 98% of people also graduated college. I went to a school with it's more prestige, more money, more everything. A lot of people never got through college. There's a lot of people and it's just because, and it goes back to what I said, my parents are my, it's like if I, that's why I was and that's kind of when I was talking about earlier where we were discussing the videos and TikTok and all of that. It's like I kind of just got lucky. And that's the same thing with my parents. And it happens, and you kind of see these people that go to get kind of lost in the sauce, literally and figuratively, and they kind of just lose it.
Yes.
But there are people that can do both. And there's a lot of people that have done both.
Yeah. I don't want, by the way, I don't want to vilify how people make decisions and stuff like that. What I am vilifying is the people who do it strictly to be able to say they do it, to hold something over other people. The people I always identified with the most are the people that I would meet, have a 3-hour conversation with them about life, not know what they did, and later find out they were like that.
Yeah.
And they didn't walk in with Rolex this and chain. I fucking love that, bro.
Well, that Curacao story with how he was talking with Elon Musk and he didn't even realize it. It kind of, but now Elon's his own thing. We could discuss about Elon forever. But I mean, Elon at his core is obsessed with the idea of space and kind of technology, and he'll die with that.
That's right.
So that's why I kind of think like maybe Clavicular can work it out because there is that Elon, that like, but it's Looksmaxxing. It's a little bit different.
Compare Elon Musk to Clavicular. Oh, they're going to love that in the comments. Deep's like, yeah, I would do it too.
It's just like but that's what
point taken.
But you know what? That's what popped into my head. Now that's probably why sometimes I'll say stuff and I'll do these videos and like it's kind of silly in theory, clavicular to Elon Musk, but it is kind of like that conversation. That's my goal. It's like you're having the conversation and like if the video is good enough and you're explaining something or talking about something, but the ones that work the best are and that's why some of them work and some of them don't. But no, and I even think about it and I think it's like if you had all this more money, like what would really change? Life would get a little bit easier, quote unquote, but like the best thing that you could probably do is like, it would be sick if you had a house, a private chef, a nice gym at home, and then the ability to be able to travel or go anywhere you want whenever. Now that's an insane amount of money, but, but if I had to say it but after that, I'd be like, I don't know. Like, I mean, how many places of like, houses can you own?
I don't
do you really need one in California, Texas, New York?
No.
And then on Long Island and then in Florida? I don't know, but maybe you have so much money you have to park that money somewhere.
Maybe. But like my whole thing is there's things that over time I would have said at some point like, oh, I regret being there instead of knowing I should have been here or whatever. And then I realize and get the grace of like, whoa, look what I was able to learn because I went into the wrong thing, right? Like I came out of college, I'm like, well, I got to get a job, and I got a fucking job on Wall Street. That was not a fit for me at all. Love the people I work with, didn't like the work. But it taught me so much about life because I was helping manage the money for like the people that I would make one bullshit trade and it would be more money than I have ever seen in my life, like at any point ever. And I got to learn. I don't want to make it all sound like it was bad examples. I saw good examples too of people who had a lot of money and you'd never know it, and they were happy as could be. Their family was happy as could be. The next generations were doing their own things and had purpose. And then I would see the opposite examples of the quote unquote mo money, mo problems, invented problems, where those kids you talk about at boarding school, I saw a lot of those and I felt bad for them because they were dead. They were dead from the time they were born because mommy and daddy wanted to make sure they had all the money and they never had to do anything. They never had to work, and they lived these purposeless lives where they could pay for anything, but they were never happy and they were never going to be. And like, it made me realize, because like I got big dreams. I started this day one. I want to be the best to ever do it. Anything less is a failure. Well, guess what? Even if I'm not great at making money, I know a lot of money comes with that.
Yeah.
I need to find a woman that is cool with not owning a fucking 12-room mansion. I need to be able to build a family to where like my kids, they do their own fucking thing. I don't want trust funds or bullshit like that. I've never understood.
You may want trust funds.
I've never understood the generational wealth thing. I've never understood it.
I have. Now, I don't have a trust fund, but I think if you can help your kid buy a house and not have to think about it, it can be huge. But 0 to 18 is when the biggest, like it's not, because when you think about trust fund kids, you think about the uppity, but it's like, if you have your kids, why wouldn't you give them the ability to not have to worry about rent? Now, it can cause more bullshit and maybe you learn lessons along the way. But also, the other option is usually it's like giving the money to the fucking government. So it's like maybe you could put it other places, but if you have this money, you have 3 kids, you trust them, you've spent your time raising them to make sure that, yes, they have nice things, but this isn't like, they're not bullshit rich kid stereotype. They have, like, why wouldn't you? Now, maybe it's required. Hey, you have to have a job. You have to do this. You have to do that. I'm going to buy, this is your apartment now. But like, I don't want to hear about you spending all your money on like going out every week or like when you walk in.
I'll tell you why. Because I think you have to have drive, and I don't think that you can coerce drive. I think it has to be something that comes from within, that has the environment to build itself into being able to happen in the first place. And here's what I mean by that. I would totally let my kids after college live in the house so they don't have to pay rent and stuff like that, which I think is a huge advantage. By the way, that is the only reason this podcast exists.
Exactly. Huge.
My parents, like, I went and lived on my own for 5 years, had all these rent bills and shit, and then the pandemic happened and my dad let me move back in. And I built a studio there. I could never have afforded a fucking rent on a studio to build this show for years.
Yeah.
I would totally let my kids do stuff like that. But the whole concept of like paying for your kids' lifestyles and things like that, there needs to be, I don't know, maybe my opinion would adjust on this, but it never has to this point. There needs to be some level of like actually creating something yourself, having drive, going out there and getting it without having the backstop of like mommy and daddy will pay that bill for me. You know what I mean? Like dude, I've never carried debt in my life. I remember 2022, I literally had $0 and my computer snapped. And it was a whole thing. And I was like, oh my God. And this is when I was making crazy shorts and it was like reliant on growing the show. And I had to go to someone really close to me and very sheepishly say, you know, you think you could spot me a few $1,000s to get this laptop? I'll pay. They're like, Julian, are you fucking, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even have to pay it, but I paid that shit back in 28 days.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to owe anyone anything.
Of course.
You know? And there's just something about that and gamifying it so that you don't know that you have that or something that's so special.
Yeah, I think I completely get your point of view. I guess I'm just trying to think now. I mean, like, I pay rent. It's not like my parents gave me an apartment that I live in. But I think to myself, if like you had that ability, wouldn't you do it for your kid? But I'm not a father, so I don't know.
I'm not either.
And I think and that is right. How do you make sure that he doesn't or she doesn't lose that drive? And maybe I have the drive because it's like I have to pay rent at the end of the month. And I've been very lucky and I've made it far enough where like I'm not thinking about rent at the end of the month. But you are, theoretically. It's like, no, I have a job. I have to do this, that, the other. But I think giving the kid the advantage and knowing that you raised them right for the first 18 years, they're going to take advantage of it. But I also hear your point of view.
It's a tough question that I'm going to have to actually answer and really live through and understand when I am a parent. And that is the thing. We are talking about a hypothetical here. I have some strong opinions on that because I've seen both sides of it, to where like I see other kids where it goes really bad or the parents do it right and it goes really well. And the ones where I see it go really well are where the parents are like, yo, you're on your own. And, you know, that doesn't, when those kids have the advantage of growing up and they have things that other kids aren't blessed to have: roof over their head, food always there, clothes on their back, no questions asked. They don't have to go get a job when they're 11 or something like that.
I mean,
like,
that's
you know
crazy
what I mean?
that like even that, and that's something that I remind myself, but like even that is like you're in top 2%, 3% of the world.
Absolutely.
And
I think that's enough.
And that is a necessity. That's like almost like, it feels like that's required in America. And I think that should be, but the privilege that exists in America, even, and that's easy for me to say, but I just mean just in general, like we are, like you don't, and that's why I try to expose myself to watching things and hearing stories. Like we don't understand, if you've never been there and you like, I mean, probably Kiriko knows a lot more. It's like, oh yeah, there's tens of millions of people that are born, or hundreds of millions of people, billions, that are born into a life they won't make $10,000 in their life, American dollars.
Yep.
It's insane, but that's why, and that's not to say you shouldn't ask for more of the society that you live in, but it is crazy that, I mean, that's another thing. It's like, yeah, your zip code that you're born in is so important.
Yes. And
it's very, that's one another thing that I lucked out on. That's why I'll always say, yeah, privileged, but I don't know what I would do. And maybe along the way you kind of answer those questions. And you get to, because you answer questions right now with people that you trust, those people will have kids. They'll go through things.
That's right.
You'll see things. I also think there's very important things along the way. If you know it's not that ability to make sure that you have to make ends meet to get food on the table, maybe it's like you're gamifying it. And that's why I think sports are so important. Even if you're not that good, like my kid's probably not going to be fucking very good at anything in terms of like high school, but like it's very important to get involved with it.
Yeah.
And also I think the camaraderie of it, the teammates, that's a huge thing.
Yes.
Because you get to know, especially as a guy, I'm sure it's important for girls too, but as a guy, if you're never a part of a team, you're fucked.
I agree.
Even if you weren't even that good. But like if you're, and like you kind of get a camaraderie with like, oh, this sucks. But it's very important. And so that's what, but again, I don't know. But
we're going to find out.
Yeah, I'm going to find out, but
you and I will have this conversation 20 years from now.
20 years.
What are you thinking, pal?
But then, I mean, like, I think about it, it's like, my parents are from Brooklyn, and they elevated themselves in ways that their brothers and sisters did as well. But I grew up in a way that was very privileged, and I feel like they made sure to make that I was not somebody that thought, like, I'm not here sitting here with the quote unquote success on social saying to myself, oh, I deserve that. I'm someone that's thinking about, oh, like what could go wrong. And I think they did it in a really good way. So they probably, and I'm sure you could do that. And that's something that happens throughout their younger years. And if you can help them in their years when they're out of college, especially in this weird economy that we're living in, it's only going to get worse. It may be valuable, but it may not.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably the question that you ask as yourself, as a parent, every single day when you have decisions. Should they? No. And it's like, should you be very strict about who they hang out with or not? Is it valuable to have them like fall on their face? And it's like, oh, is it valuable for them to be in the wrong group? And then like that group takes advantage of them. And then you're like, hey, this is what happens. Or do you try to, I don't know.
I mean, look, like I said, I have like these ideas that are stolen from ideas of seeing things that worked or didn't work in the past that I feel strongly about, but I'll know when I'm in the position. And hopefully I make the right calls. You know what I mean? But it's the hardest job in the world, but it's the most important job too. And it's something I really look forward to doing. But you also, the number one thing is you have to find the right woman. I mean, holy shit, do you got to find the right woman? Because you guys aren't going to agree on everything. That's not life. Like, you're going to have disagreements, but you have to have a similar, at least, philosophy on life and North Star in a way, you know? And it sounds like your parents had that. My parents, I was lucky, they certainly have that. And like, I think that's a huge advantage in and of itself when you have parents who like get it. And, you know, again, no one's perfect, but like they get all the important stuff right. Like that's like being halfway down the third base line in life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I can only imagine what those discussions are like, but you have to be very clear, especially when with the person that you're.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. You like if you're having a child with, you have to be really, and I mean, you hear nasty, nasty stories, and it's sad, but, and you see it. It's like and it fucks up for the child as well. I mean, we all know kids that went through divorces or like parents went away, all that.
Yep.
And you see the effect on them, and it's like that kid was a star, and then his parents got divorced.
Yeah, it's another.
No, it's a very sad. And. You try and you stay friends with them, of course, but they go through things that you can't relate. I can't relate to it because my parents didn't.
That's right. Jack Mack, you're a smart guy, bro.
Oh well, this was a lot of fun. I mean,
I really enjoyed it.
I feel like I didn't even know how this would go in terms of what we talked about. Obviously, the shooting at the White House Correspondents Center was big, But I really appreciate you saying I'm a smart guy. I'm trying to be. I've made some stupid calls along the way. That was very funny. I made some stupid calls along the ways. I was stupid in that sentence. But I'm trying to be somebody that makes the next right call.
That's all that matters, pal. You're doing great.
And thank
work
you. And
online.
and as a fan of the show,
Yeah,
I've
thank
appreciated this show in a lot of ways. I love listening to it, even if it's something I know nothing about or know a lot about. And I learn a lot. And it's been awesome to see it grow too, because I think that's something that's very inspiring. And also hearing like what we talked about today, betting on yourself and really believing in it, and then also knowing what the future and thinking about it. It's really, really special to see, and it's cool. It's kind of like watching a basketball player evolve his game.
I appreciate that a lot.
So, and I can't wait to see what's next. And I don't think we know. Like, you never know what your next thing's going to be. It really is one video or one story, and then that's it, and then you're in it. And
hopefully
so,
you're not Diana Rossini.
Yeah, yes. On that note, don't sleep with the coach. Do not do that. But you could be that story if you want to go in that way, and then you could go a different route.
Jack Back, we're gonna link your X and your IG
And
down
YouTube,
below.
if you want to watch that Clav interview.
And YouTube.
You just look up
link
Jack Mag.
everything.
Yeah.
Check all the links to make sure I have everything.
I
But
did one
everyone
with
go follow Jack.
Taylor Lorenz. I'm going to do some more in the future as well. So, yeah.
All right.
I think I'm going to do one with you. I'm going to actually,
Fuck yeah, bro.
I would love to do it with you. So we'll do that sometime in the summer. Maybe
Fuck
somewhere
yeah.
in Hoboken.
Anytime, bro. You let me know. But
Okay,
we'll
cool.
link that down below. Everyone go follow.
Thanks, guys, for watching.
Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace.
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for watching the video. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button before you leave, as well as leaving a like on the video. It's a huge, huge help. You can join my Patreon via the link in the description, and you can also join my clipping community via the Discord link down below. See you for the next episode.